All right. How's it going so far? You guys have completed your first 4 sessions, which is the first complete session of Ignite. Okay, so you should know about value proposition, connecting with yourself, connecting with the market.
That was the hardest class, hands down.
Yeah.
Like I'm still the value proposition.
No,
Really?
like, yeah.
And then you got Cheater over here that used an AI to come up with his value proposition. I thought he sounded so amazing.
All good. Sometimes we need a little help, right?
And then I tried to use it and then it didn't work.
I'm telling you, it's not just you put something in there and it spits it out. You gotta probe it the right way and then it's actually useful.
Okay, well, after class, you're gonna teach me how to probe AI the right way.
That's good.
Whoa, okay. So today we start lead gen section. So the next several sessions are about lead generation. And I couldn't think of anybody better than my friend Ashtyn Gonzales. So Ashtyn, how long have you been in real estate with Keller Williams?
7 years.
7 years. And what is your primary role?
Lead generation.
Okay, tell me
Inside
more
sales.
about that.
Yeah, so I started as an inside sales agent for a mega agent team, and now I do lead generation across the country, but also I'm a director of lead generation for them, so.
So you have people that generate leads under you, so you train them on things like urgency, and what other big things do you train them on?
What's a good lead, what's not a good lead, what to go after, how to find contact information, doesn't make sense to call the wrong phone number 10 times. So all of those things, and then how to systemize it, make it easier. So every day it just becomes a little bit better. And then over time, your pipeline builds.
If you had to give advice to somebody coming in to learn how to generate leads, what's the one piece of advice that will get them there faster?
Just dial, actually hit the press, like go ahead and hit dial, because half the time they don't even answer. You're like getting yourself worked up before you even, like you start thinking about all the things that it could happen, just hit dial.
So imperfect
So.
action is better than inaction.
100%, well said.
Awesome, very cool, very cool. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but we do want to say thank you for your time here today. And expect a few more people to float on.
Yeah.
Adam's gonna go ahead and mind the
Hi,
chat
Adam.
and things like that. When he gets ready to pack it in, he'll bring it up here for you. And then
Cool.
these guys know the drill. They're very interactive. Colton, hey, where's your,
Are you Colton?
Oh, sorry.
thank you. All right, friends. Thank you, Ashtyn.
Well, thanks guys for coming. I know that this is an investment of your time, so I do appreciate you guys being here. But yeah, I'm an open book, so I know that this has a structure, and if you guys want to take it anyway or have additional questions, please ask, because at the end of the day, it's here for you. I'm obviously also going to learn from you guys, but we'd love to make sure that you guys get as much as possible out of it. Kristen, I know you're on Zoom, so if you need anything too, just yell at me, or Adam, I suppose, so that I can make sure that we get your questions answered. So you mentioned the value proposition was the hardest one. So was it just because like putting yourself into words of like, or an elevator?
Yeah,
pitch?
I've been a stay-at-home mom for 24 years. So thinking of things that I can put into
Mhm.
words and make it sound like I still haven't written it because I've drafted it a little bit, but I keep like wadding it up and throwing it in the trash.
Oh.
So not because just
Yeah.
because I don't, like, yeah, that's not it. I think I'll know it when I write it and I'm like, oh, that's it.
Right.
Maybe when he teaches me how to use AI, I'll know how to do it, but
Absolutely.
so really, it was good information, but I felt like it was really kind of heavy information yesterday. Whereas the other stuff was like enlightening and like light bulbs, like, So, but he did a great job.
That's awesome. Who was yesterday? Brian,
yeah.
okay, awesome. You on his? No?
I'm Brian Fisher's team.
Brian Fisher, Brian Jackson, was that who it was? Stone, thank you. Awesome. So the main thing is obviously lead generation. So you guys have been in the business for kind of a different amount of time. How do you guys do it right now? Like, what would you say your favorite form of lead generation is?
Sphere of influence.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Trigger word, yep. You?
Sphere of
Sphere,
influence.
okay, perfect. Is there anything you guys want to add on to that today to make sure I touch on it? Because this is generating leads. It doesn't get into the nitty gritty, but if you guys have stuff I can help you guys jump into, I'd love to.
I know methods is later on in the course too, but I guess just expanding methods, because reaching out to my sphere has been the one that's been generating the most leads.
Okay.
And I've been, like, Brian will send out a Facebook ad and we'll call the people on Facebook, and it's like a horrible, like, turnaround, But I mean, I don't know, just getting used to the phones still.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and there's different things on those ones. So like PPC leads, I have one of my ISAs calls them slutty because like they're talking to a lot of different people. So that's one thing to like just prep yourself for, right? Like no lead is perfect unless it is your sphere of influence, because then you kind of know a little bit more about their details. You just got to go into it kind of blindly. And then also be aware that there's conversion rates on every lead. So that's one that's going to have a little bit lower conversion. Yeah. So it's like just going into that of like, hey, this could be the one. And then if it's not, just being like, great, what can I do to like make you easy to reach out to? So I love that. Anything else you ladies have questions on or anything? Okay, cool. Well, we'll jump in. Let's make sure I do this technical side right. Just real briefly, I am gonna talk about the do not call and TCPA. Okay, does everyone aware of that? Does anyone have any questions on what it is? Or anything like that? Okay, if you ever want to know anything more about them too, the FCC site is terrible. Missouri has different rules than the actual federal government does. But the main thing is, if somebody asks you not to call them, just don't call them. Like have good phone etiquette, respect it the same way that if somebody was calling you that you didn't know, just do the same thing. So, but that's just something to touch on. And then I'm gonna jump right into here. So we're all gonna talk about lead generation, which literally is my favorite thing. So in case you guys don't know, I sell on average about 120 leads a year, like closings. With my team, and then I do referrals outside of the networks that, you know, generate anywhere from like, I just closed one, it's 900,000 out in Hawaii. So off of a circle prospect call. So there's different ways to do this. So just thinking about it, like tons of different ways. Hi, Christy. Hi, how are you?
Good.
What's your name?
I'm Jerem.
Jerem.
Yeah.
Jerem, Ashtyn, how are you? You have a good day so far? Yeah, okay, great. So the main thing is we're gonna do 2 hours of learning-ish, and then we're gonna jump into the actual activities of it. But the main thing is let's have fun today, ask questions. You guys have anything that you need from me, just let me know. So we wanna find people that we wanna work with, that's the main thing. So this is the first section of it. Yes, you mentioned that there's gonna be some different things, so growing your database. Today we're talking about generating your leads. I'm going to end up touching on some of this other stuff because it does all flow into each other. And it's hard for me not to give you guys tactical things while I'm in it. So as we kind of go through it, but the main thing is like where we're finding the leads, when we find them, what do we do with them, all of those of like how we actually apply it. I got to hear about you guys' day yesterday. So by the end of the session, you're going to be able to generate business from the people they know and know you. So that was the sphere of influence you guys mentioned earlier, how to categorize them and expand your reach, and then applying the best practices from lead generation. So that's the main thing I want you guys to start thinking about. But if you guys don't care, if you guys have any other questions, is there anything else that you want to learn on besides those? Anything? What do you guys think of? When you think lead generation?
I like the, I'd like to hear more about your, because you were talking about, what makes a good lead, what one should you go after? I'd
Yeah.
love to hear more in depth about that.
Just gonna make a note on that.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get a gut feeling when you're talking to somebody?
Yeah, absolutely.
Trust it. And just know that there's like weird rhythms that you have to talk to people. There's one lady I had to call 9 times after she booked the appointment. 9 times. I thought she gave up on me. So just knowing that there's always going to be those like weird rhythms in it. Absolutely. So what makes a good lead versus a bad lead? Anything else you guys think of? Any bad interactions you've had with leads that you're like, what did I do wrong? Or was that actually a lead? Any thoughts on those? Okay. Hi.
Had all kinds of bad ones, but
All kinds of, okay. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, honestly, as long as you have contact information, I'd say it's good.
right.
So the first thing that we're gonna do after we do the lead gen or the expanding the SOI, it's just about mindset. And I know you guys have talked probably in all of the sections about mindset. So Gary Keller actually said that he didn't really like lead generating. So but he realized that it was an instrumental part, it's the foundation of every real estate business. So the quote that is so famous from it is, "My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating." We have to overcome that. So is anyone scared of picking up the phone?
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Corey, yes, a little bit.
Especially if it's cold calls, like,
Yes.
I don't think, even in my sphere, if I haven't talked to them in a long time.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh no, are they gonna be mad at me that I haven't called?
Oh, she just told me because she's a state agent. She's trying to sell me.
Absolutely. So, and I will say, have you ever had a sphere that you actually called and then were they ever like mad at you and being like, Corey, you were supposed to call me last week? It's funny how we tell ourselves these stories about what people are gonna do on the other side. And if you can break that, that's why I'm always saying like my biggest piece of advice would just actually be hit dial, because the worst thing is actually not gonna happen. I mean, even if you get hung up on, half the time, like they're just losing cell service. I don't know if I have this conspiracy right now that all the cell towers are going out. I don't know if you guys are, because my phone service has been terrible.
Mine's been awful.
Thank you. See?
I'm wondering if it's the 4G going to 5G and like how they're.
That's what they said last year though.
So too, and I'm like, mine's still awful.
So I think there's something going on, but anyways, that's one of the things where you're like, did they just hang up on me in the middle of my pitch? And then like you call them back and they're like, I'm so sorry, like I'm driving and like it just dropped all of a sudden. And you're like, wow, I just told a story in my head that you didn't want to talk to me and you were mad at me in like the middle of my pitch and it wasn't even that. So just remember that and like keep your guys' mindset aware of it and have people that you can talk to. So one, you guys have each other. You can always call me, but like seriously, sometimes you just need somebody to break your mindset of like, it's okay to call people. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to be like, hey, I'm in the business still. Do you guys need anything? But just make sure that you have somebody that can check your attitude and like your mindset and being like, hey, is this real that I'm telling myself that nobody wants to talk to me? Or is it actually just me telling myself that? But we aren't ever going to stop lead generating. That's the thing that at my age, I've been in it for 7 years. My goal by the time I die is to have the database of everyone and just being able to know everyone's contact information and hopefully have a good enough relationship with them that it's just coming to me. I don't have to prospect any longer. So if you can think of it long-term as a long-term investment of lead generation is going to feed me forever, you guys will have a better shot at this game. And also you're going to have different phases of your life where you're going to be able to turn into this. And then there's going to be phases where it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So if you do it when you're feeling really great about lead generating, it's going to be easier later on as well when you have a harder season where there's something going on where it's harder for you to get on the phones because you're distracted by something else. The main thing is to build this database so robust that you guys have it always, or you can refer it out. That's the thing that I think people don't think about is like long-term with real estate, what are you going to do? You can always sell your leads. You don't have to be the one servicing it. If you guys decide you want to live on an island somewhere, just you have to have this database to actually have the investment in it. So I can get on my soapbox all day about lead generation. This is the 6 core competencies of business. Can I call on somebody to read? Does anyone like to read out loud?
Sure.
Oh, perfect.
Lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments, present to buyers and sellers and get agreements, show buyers and market sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, manage the money.
So what's number 1? What doesn't happen if anything else?
Lead gen.
Yes. So does anyone know how to sell a house without actually having some people involved in it? Because that would be awesome. I mean, yes, you could do banks. I suppose you could say it, but there's still people in that transaction that you have to get involved with foreclosures. So there's always relationships. Like at the end of the day, this doesn't exist without people. The people are the ones filling the places, whether it's commercial, residential, investments. So we have to think about it as like we are building relationships to actually have sales. And the one main thing about this is obviously like talking to people about buying and selling. The thing I focus on is the capturing accurate contact information, because it's exactly like if you're talking to the wrong phone number. One, you can get hopefully business out of it from that wrong phone number, but you have to get to the right people at the right time. You also want to have as much information as possible. So I know it's kind of awkward to ask about email addresses or home addresses and everything, but you've got to make it a consistent like script. And so as you work on your value prop, also making sure that you know how to ask the questions about, hey, by the way, I forgot, I didn't grab your email address. If you care if I grab it for you, I'll send you over whatever value that you can add to them, or their home address. Can I send you a birthday card? Things like that. So be thinking about those things of how to capture the right contact information so then we can actually lead generate. Because like, I think this is so easily missed. It's lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. You have to capture it at the end of the day. So, and that's what we use our databases for. So, and the more you have, the more business we all get to have, which we all want, right? Okay, the next part. So I mentioned that Gary Keller actually didn't really like lead generating. These were the 4 things that he actually said about it. So does anyone else want to read?
I think lead generation is really difficult. I don't have time to lead generate. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of making mistakes.
Has anyone ever had any of those thoughts ever, or something similar to it?
Number 4.
Number 4?
4.
Ooh, are you a perfectionist?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that this is probably one of the most ones that people dismiss, but absolutely being perfectionist and not wanting to mess it up, put in something wrong, say something wrong, can hold you back a lot.
Just want the complete professional perception from a client.
Right. And like Shanna had mentioned earlier, inaction is better than no action at the end of the day, even if it's imperfect, because at least we're actually doing something. It happens on the playing field, right? Like that's when you score. Like you don't get to do that if you're not actually entering it into the playing field. So we have to actually do it to get there. But yeah, absolutely. These are regularly things. I mean, there's times, and this is rare, but I still get times where I'm scared to do something, and I'm scared about what is going to come on the other end of that phone. Am I going to deliver well? But guess what happens? Like, it's going to be okay. So, go ahead and fill this out in your guys' actual workbook. And I'm sorry, my page is 15. I don't know what page it is on you guys.
5:30.
What was
It's 5:30, isn't it?
53 or 5.3?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is actually what he wanted to rephrase it. And I'm actually going to change one of them. So, Sam, do you want to read for me?
Yeah,
Would you read the orange for me?
I was confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. It's just not fun.
Okay. And then this one?
I had an issue of making time to lead generate and protecting that time.
Good. And then, yeah, the next
I
two.
had to get on the path of mastering the dialogue skills needed in this business.
Perfect.
I found that lead generation is nothing more than a set of tasks and skills that are well documented.
Thank you. Okay, so it's all about reframing it, right? So the reason I was like, I'm gonna change this is because like I have so much fun lead generating. It's like my favorite thing. I'm just a fun person though, just so you guys know. But I would never add that in because you can have fun lead generating. You're talking to people that are selling and buying houses. Like it's actually a fun topic. Like we're not selling insurance. I'm sorry if anyone did that in any form of their life, but you're selling like something that somebody's gonna live in, invest in, build wealth in. It is actually pretty cool. And if you're selling it, that's awesome. They did something right. They've worked with us before. I love people that sell houses. So listings are way better, but it's actually a lot of fun. You just got to think about it that way. So making sure that you guys have this reframing. Is there anything else that you guys have that you, as a fear, besides these 4 that we could reframe right now? I'm gonna say 1, they know too many agents. An agent already. Do you guys think of anything else? Any other fears? Why you don't want to call someone? Or why you don't want to reach out?
Don't want to freeze, I guess.
Don't want to freeze
Yeah.
while on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to stall not on purpose, you know?
Right.
Love that. And I think the main thing is just being aware that like really sitting with your guys' fears sometimes of like what's holding you back from it. And what I do is I use a dialer. So, cause I like to be efficient with when I'm dialing people, but even if I'm on my phone or like on my CRM and I'm doing one at a time, I just pull up the contact and I won't look at it and I'll click dial, like however I'm doing it, because I get in my head about it and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't actually know what I was like. I forgot to write notes. That's what my one weakness is. Like, I don't write enough good notes. And so I'm like, I don't remember if they said that they were moving this day, or I was supposed to call them back a week ago. That's all the things that I forgot to write down. And I just call, and then you just
1, 2, 3, go.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, go. You just gotta jump. It's cliff jumping. Like you cannot look over the edge before you do it. Like it's gonna hold you back from doing it. So at the end of the day, that's the main thing. We have to rephrase this. So they know an agent already. How do we reframe it? What would you guys say if your best friend said, oh, I know Adam Grady, or what would you say to them?
Well, in one of the other classes, one of the best things they said was, they don't have the same why that I have.
Ooh, I love that. That's really good.
So you know them, but their why isn't the same as my why.
100%, yeah. I'm gonna reframe that a little bit, just make it a
Go
little
for
bit
it.
more generic, and I'm gonna say they don't have what I can bring to the table, so. And that can be your heart. I mean, there are people that like you could then beat out because you're willing to do more than they are, so. Oh, they don't bring. Another thing, how many realtors do we have on our board? It's 3,000-ish, roughly, right? Everyone's an agent. So again, it's great. What do you think that they're gonna bring to the table? I always flip it to a question, just because like it'll get them engaged. What are they bringing to the table that you don't think I can? So, and the reason I always turn it into questions is because it makes them think, even if they don't want to respond. All right, and then, so you don't want to stall and freeze. How do you overcome that? Or what would you need to say differently?
For me, it's just kind of 1, 2, 3, go, or it's a script in front of me. I'll
Yeah.
just default to something I can look at and ask.
Yeah, obviously preparation's huge on this,
Yeah.
and then filler. So, because like I'll stumble myself and I'll be like, I don't actually know what I was supposed to say next. I got off my like thought track or whatever it is. So I will revert to like the weirdest questions. So if I'm talking to a listing, I'll ask them about their house, telling me something like a little bit more. So if I got off my normal rhythm of objections, timelines, things like that, what I'll do is then I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just saw your backyard. Could you tell me something, tell me about that? Have you guys spent a lot of good weekends out there? Or do you guys like things like that? Just flip it to a question that will build a little bit of rapport and energy from them. And then you can go back into it and be like, oh, and then I forgot, like, when are you guys trying to move by? And get back into your script that you can refer to, but just get comfortable with filler conversation. Talk about the weather, like, you know, you can talk about the economy, like there's tons of things people want to talk about that then you can get back into your rhythm of like, wait, before I let you off the phone, I forgot to ask, why are you actually moving, right? It's probably one of the biggest questions we always forget. So why are you actually moving? If it's a buyer, obviously talking about their criteria always gets them excited and stoked, but just having these things to kind of prep yourself and then practice it. Practice and role play regularly this so that then you can get back into your thoughts and your script. Awesome. Okay, so you kind of touched on it earlier, your favorite ways of lead generating. Sam, do you have a favorite form of lead generation? Who do you like to prospect?
Definitely my sphere.
Perfect. Okay, good.
What I run into is that I've been in the business for a while and I'm the admin side, and so like contacts list is all other agents, but I'm trying to use that to my advantage and, you know, some buyer needs that I have
I
and just
love
kind
that.
of curve it to that, but yeah.
That's so
what I'm
smart.
kind of running into. So going to my Facebook data, you know, contacts might be a little more beneficial, but
Absolutely.
yeah, so definitely sphere. I don't like I call them the sub-zero leads, because they're not cold calling, it's like less than cold, so.
That's awesome. Who actually picks up their house phone anymore, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, and I've experimented like maybe doing different times of the day, you know, like my team lead is very structured, 10 to 12, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if that works for these sub-zero people. If you really want to get them on the phone, like there's one time I tried a Saturday morning because we had a.
Ooh, that's a good time.
Because we had an open house that we had put a campaign out. So I was like, hey,
That's awesome.
house you clicked on, and I got a little bit more out of that. And then sometimes in the afternoon, I get a little more. So I'm kind of just playing around with it.
I love that. You know what, one of my biggest fears was on the weekends was I was like, nobody's gonna want to talk to me on the weekend. Okay, guess what? Like, people don't want to talk on the phone anyways. I don't care what day of the week it is, but I love that you called because actually a ton of people answer on the weekend and they love your work ethic. They're like, oh my God, you're working right now? Like, that's impressive. So that's awesome. Kudos to you. That's amazing. I agree with that. So I think that when you think about like the sphere of influence, Sam, what were you doing before you got into real estate? You said you were in admin.
I was an admin, and then before real estate, though, I hotel sales.
Okay, awesome. Oh, sweet. Thank you. So hotel sales in Springfield, or were you somewhere else? Okay, cool. So the thing about sphere, like, I think we get into real estate and then we're only talking to agents sometimes, which is like not the best thing for us because yeah, just that. The way you're prospecting through them is perfect though. Always, whenever I cold call an accident, call an agent, I'm always like, perfect, what listings do you have coming up? You can fill in buyer needs from talking to other agents. It's great. Also networking, if you guys are ever thinking about growing a team or anything like that, you want to work with people you like. So making sure you know who your favorite agents are as well. But besides that, so you were in hotel sales and then that was your sphere of influence really before then though. Do you stay in contact with any of them?
Some, yeah, and then some that I've moved on into real estate actually, but.
Damn, you just led the charge.
And then people have, I mean, especially the pandemic kind of wiped out hospitality a little bit,
Yes.
so. But it was, the cold calling there was different because it was business to business. I was trying to find businesses that didn't have offices, that needed a boardroom.
Yes.
So that was a little bit easier conversations to have, and mostly they would just call you.
Mhm.
Or, you know, the bride rooms, the wedding groups.
Right,
you know.
right. So events kind of.
So it was more of a business to business thing, which I feel like I need to tap into that as my niche, but.
Yeah, well, and so let's talk about business to business. Do you feel like it was easier because it was not emotional? Because the people on the other side were business as well, or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had something to offer, you
Mhm.
know, like, so it was weird too, because it's not really a tangible item.
Right,
And
you're
then,
selling space.
but real estate is the most tangible item you can sell, so it's a weird contrast for me.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I love it though, because you already have the experience. So like, you're gonna crush that, like as you build that out and like who you want to go, because you already have the experience of dialing. Now we just have to reframe it in your head of like, yeah, you were selling space and you were selling to a business. Families are a business as well. And at the end of the day, as much as your sphere of influence is personal, you still want it to be a business transaction. You want to take care of them, right? From start to finish. You want to do right by them. You want to make sure, because they're going to be referrals and feed you continuously. So we just have to think of it in the same way. So one of my tricks, and this is, I don't know if you can utilize this, but I would call, even when I didn't want to call, I would act like I had a boss. Like even though I was working for myself, and I would say, my boss is looking over my shoulder and making sure I actually hit this dial button right now. And that would force me to think of him saying, because, you know, I don't know, it has to be a male, I guess, like telling me that I have to do my job right now. And that was one of the things that I got over some of those humps where I'm like, I'm like concerned about making these calls. But when you think about it in that structure, it helps you reframe it of like, my boss is going to be upset if I don't make my calls.
Yeah.
So as you're going through it, looking at it the same way of like, my hotel manager is going to be mad if I don't make my calls right now. And just thinking of it a little bit differently will help that fear kind of dissipate as you work through them all. But so your sphere, kind of going back to that, you've got your hotel people, which they probably did have a ton of changes in their job world, right? Since hospitality changed so much. Yeah, you could recruit them, get them in your downline. Two, they might be downsizing, unfortunately, because there was a lot of economic shifts. A lot of people are downsizing right now. So just something to think about. But going back further in your past is where you guys can find more sphere of influence. So wherever you were before real estate, that's one of them. Where else do you guys interact with people besides agents and your family? We'll take out family right now. What else do you guys do in your free time?
I'm on the ball builder church.
Ooh, I love it.
Both of them.
Okay, so you're great. You've got really good ones.
So I'm in a small town, so
Which town are you in?
Morrisville.
Okay. And church, I love that. I'm actually gonna separate that one.
No, I do go to a big church,
Okay, where do you go to church at?
James River.
Nice.
I'm at the North Campus, I'm at the smaller one.
I actually love Morrisville.
That's awesome. You even know where it's at. Most people are like, that's around here.
That's awesome. Jerome, did I say your name right? Sorry.
Jeremy.
Jerome, sorry, thank you.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
okay.
Where did you hang out when you're doing your free time?
I live kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Where do you live?
I live up like halfway,
Oh, okay.
so,
I'm showing a Wobbler buyer right now.
I mean, it's
Might need your help.
it's either work or church.
Okay, work or church? Do you do other work besides here?
Yeah, I have a side job.
What do you do?
I sell, extended, service plans,
Okay.
so,
Insurance? Not the insurance.
I mean, technically not, but yeah.
Okay. So you actually interact with a lot of people as well? On your
Yeah.
other one, okay. Clayton, what about you?
I would say church, work, family, and then if it's like hobbies related, it's the lake or
Yeah.
golf course.
Nice. I feel like golf course is a little bit saturated, but you know, if you got the right people.
Other saturated. Oh, what do you do? Oh, of course you are, yeah. Murray? Yeah, that's what I figured, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Erin, what about you?
Oh, gosh, everyone's kind of saying them.
That's great,
Would have
though.
been family, church, work.
Did you say one? I'm sorry, I didn't hear at the beginning.
Family, church,
Okay.
work. I'm on the chamber in
Oh,
my
nice.
town.
In
Ash Grove.
Ash Grove, okay. How often do they meet?
Well, I just kind of started, so
Oh, nice.
I
Okay.
want to say once a month at least,
Nice.
but it might actually end up being more than that.
That's
We have some
fantastic.
events coming up, so.
Good. Yeah, because I imagine they don't actually meet, but they have other little
Yeah,
meetings
yeah.
every year. Awesome. So, and then Sam, what besides, I know you've got your background in hotel, what do you do for fun? Or what do you do outside of work?
Either with friends or, we have kind of a tight knit crew of people.
Love that.
We do themed parties all the time.
Can I come?
We-
Awesome.
One day we were all of the holidays.
That's
Everything
awesome.
dressed up as a different holiday.
That's the best thing
One
ever.
girl's birthday was ball gowns and bonfires.
Oh my gosh, cute.
Everybody
That's
was
awesome.
ball gowns around the bonfire.
That's the best thing
And then I
ever.
have 2 older sons, so I'm usually in my free time figuring out what they're doing.
Right, okay. Do they do sports or are they in any recreational activities?
Well, one's an arts kid and the other one's a sports kid,
Oh,
but they're
nice.
both working at Urban Air, so I'm really gonna try to tap into that,
Heck
because
yeah.
there's tons of
Tons
families.
of people over there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So,
Yeah, use your kids, pimp them out.
I'll even give them the business cards, yeah.
Yeah.
All over.
100%, like your spouse and your children should be your guys' like introduction to everyone and have them introduce you as like, oh yeah, you know, my mom sells houses. So make
Yeah.
sure that they are doing that for you. Put them on your payroll. They can actually do that. So good tax benefits. But yeah, so all of these things, just think of Ford. If you guys are ever like, I'm worked my sphere so much and I have nothing else to give, go to Ford. So family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So I love that you guys brought up the lake and the golf, because that's one thing where it's like, those are probably people you like, right? They do the exact same thing you're doing, so it's easy to communicate with them.
All the same crap, yeah.
Yeah, so you can just have fun with them. And if you don't have a hobby that you're regularly doing, because I know that if you have children and everything like that, it's just harder. Think about it though, like, is there a book club? Is there one thing that you could commit an hour to every single week that would add to your sphere and also to your happiness because you'd be doing something for you that you enjoy? Just think about it, because that's the thing where it's like, one, kids grow up, so, you know, you want to have a full life after them. But then 2, you also could interact with people in a natural way. And Ben Kenny, who's like one of my favorite people in the world, he has a game where basically whenever he goes to a party or interaction with anyone, his job, like he is focusing so hard on not ever saying what he does, because he doesn't want it to be awkward, right? Like, hey, are you ready to buy, sell, and invest in real estate? So he will talk about that other person for as long as possible, and he tries to make it as long as possible before ever saying what he does. Because that's the thing, right? We always feel like I don't want to come off as this like salesperson where it's like, I'm just gonna ask you for business immediately as soon as I interact with you. So instead, turn it to questions about them. What do they do for fun? Where do they spend most of their free time? You know, like, what are they doing? How old are their kids? All of those things. Everyone loves talking about kids. So like, that's an easy one. Where do you go to church? You know, what do you do in your free time? Like, that's the stuff that you want to do. And by the end of it, they're going to be curious about you because you've asked them 10,000 questions. So they're going to ask you a question back. It's an easy introduction to saying like, oh, I love talking about houses. Honestly, I watch them all day long. You know, if there's any questions that you need, you know, where do you live? Guess what? Everyone lives somewhere, right? Awesome. Great business strategy, just figuring out where they live. But just thinking about your sphere, just remember, like if you ever feel like it's dried up, go back to the forward, friends, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you're planning on doing something long-term, like say you want a retirement house in Hawaii, guess what? Probably a ton of people have that same dream. So I posted on your Facebook saying, hey, what's your long-term plans like for retirement? Or where's your guys' dream vacation home? That will help you find people that are similar to you. And then you guys can make a group where all you do is talk about real estate in Hawaii. And then you guys would have an easy way to get referrals out there. So different categories that you guys can get in there for that one. But the main thing is that we want to turn them into people that trust you and know you. So that's what the next step of that is, right? Like we've categorized that we can find people, right? Does everyone have a pretty good understanding of where we could find more people that we could probably reach out to from their world? If you don't already reach out to them. And then what we're going to do is figure out how we become the trusted individual for them. So can everyone pull out their phone? And if you have an iPhone, I don't talk to Android users, so I'm just kidding. But you go to your contacts. If you guys haven't had a chance to, hold on one second. Go to your contact, and then all the way at the bottom of the contacts, if you have an iPhone, there's a little number symbol, and go down to the bottom. Does anyone want to share how many total contacts they have at the very
You
bottom?
go to lists,
Oh.
it'll do it faster. So like
Oh
your
my God.
contacts up at the top says list.
Oh my gosh, so cool. A button I never knew. Who's got a number that they can share with us? Total. What's your number, Corey?
1246.
Ooh, good. Anyone else have any? 1246? Anyone near there?
I thought I was doing good, but mine's 290.
290, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
mine's-
you gotta grab more contact information.
Mine's also 109.
109, yep. Okay, we gotta get saved. How many unsaved phone numbers do you guys have in your messages right now?
What?
I don't know.
Now, if I was to go into my database that I've entered into my database, it's like 200, not even 200.
Yeah,
So like
that's okay.
my kids are on that, like it's not, and I've got 5 kids. So that's not a total true number. I
No,
don't
and
wanna,
that's
like,
totally
sound like I'm
okay.
bragging by any means.
No, and the reason I wanted it, because I wanted to see an average, and we can use this right here. So the average commission, do you guys know what it is in our market right now? Roughly. It's kind of an interesting number. So our average sales price is, what did I do my math? 274,000. So depending on how much commission you're getting, that's roughly between 6,800 to 8,200. So this is the average commission. So just based off of the numbers in here, you guys can put this in your book, what your total commission would be. So it's basically the number of contacts in there. They said that out of the amount of people in the world, according to the National Association of Realtors, the typical person moves every 8 years. And according to the 2020 census, the home ownership rate is at 64.8%. If you can assume that 64.8% of your database is a homeowner, that they will move every 8 years, that means that 8.1% of your database will buy, sell, and sell or buy a house every 8 years. So that's where these numbers come from. And I did this with my eyes, I saved this morning, and they got frustrated because they were like, well, yeah, but they're not always gonna pick me. Like, just because there's 8% of people that will actually sell and buy a house, like, why would they pick me? And I'm like, let's reframe it. Why shouldn't they pick you? What do we need to do to be the person that they get picked? Hi, Carrie. I'm Ashtyn. Sorry. No, you're fine. I'm so glad you came in. So the main thing is that we're just trying to figure out how much you guys have in your phone. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a call list or a list that you're not sure to go to, turn to your phone, reach out to your friends, see how they're doing. Also, then you can ask them, you know, like, hey, I'm just like looking through things, making sure that everyone knows everything about the market. Do you have anyone that I can reach out to? Educate them on what's going on. It doesn't need to be your friend that you sell a house to. Just need to get a referral from someone. So this would be the number that you break down based off 250, which was kind of roughly where we were ending at an average, besides the 1,200. We're gonna look at, there's 20 potential sales in there. There's 25 additional referrals that could be sent out. I moved here from Hawaii. That's why I have connections out there. So most of my contacts don't actually live in Missouri. That's why referrals are like a game changer for real estate. So making sure that you don't dismiss that if you're trusted as a real estate professional, people will come to you no matter what. So there's 45 closings that you could get out of the 250. Average commission for them was 5,000. That's $225,000 in GCI that you could get. Does everyone kind of get that number?
I think that's my hardest lead gen is the people, because I'm from Kansas City.
Okay.
So, but I've lived here for 20 years, but to go back, like you're
Mhm.
saying, go back to those people and still invest in them is kind of like a
Yeah, I get that.
mind crippling kind of like,
Yeah, well, because you want to be the real estate expert locally, right?
right?
But you
Or why
also,
would they need me? Why would they want me? Why, you know, like you said, but why?
Yesterday, you know, your value statement.
yes,
I
absolutely.
haven't made it because you haven't taught me. Dang it.
Well, no, let's see, like, okay, so how long did you live in Kansas City?
I grew up in Kansas City.
You grew up there.
Mhm.
So
I was
these
there
people have
for
known you for a
19 years.
long time.
And I've got a crazy story. So, I mean, I'm still intertwined because I was 4 months pregnant when I lost my 5th baby. My husband was in a motorcycle accident and we were in ministry, we were in churches. So we were in Kansas City. So, I mean, I have a connection with those people, but for whatever reason, my brain is like locked up.
Have you guys ever talked to a bad real estate agent?
Yeah, and I don't want to be that person, I guess. I don't know.
Corey, are you a bad real estate agent? I know you're not, you're here right now. So, I mean, honestly, the reason that I think referrals are so important is because there are
Yes.
really, really terrible real estate agents out there. They're awful,
Oh.
like, they don't have the right mindset about real estate, they're chasing commission checks. So Corey, your friends need you. Because
And I love people, and that's one of the things this class has done, doing the cards and just saying nothing about real estate.
Yeah.
And just loving on them. That has been one of my absolute most favorite things.
it will come naturally, like, if you're doing the right thing by people, it will come naturally, but the main thing is, don't let them have a bad real estate agent. How terrible would you feel if you get on Facebook and you see that they got taken by some agent that didn't present all the offers, didn't communicate clearly with them, and that you could have actually helped them find a better agent down there? That's the stuff that you've got to tell yourself of, like, that's why I need to reach out consistently, send them cards, just love on them.
Yeah.
So that they remember that you're doing that, and just say like, hey, by the way, like, I just want to make sure, even if you have questions about real estate and I'm not there, I still want to make sure you get the right people. I love my people down there. I know they're going to take care of you, but please just let me know if you have any questions, and just stay in front of them that way, because at the end of the day, it's really like, I feel like I have a mantle on my shoulder for everyone that I interact with, that I have to help them find the best real estate agent for them. So wherever they're at, and that's the idea that you want to think about for them.
Well, and if you think about what Mark Kelly said, or King said the other day, I don't know if you guys listened in on that, but he was like, I make so much money off just referrals.
Mhm.
Like, I don't have to do anything but referrals. So even if you just make sure they know, hey, I'll get you to the best person there if there's a referral. You didn't do anything.
I've got 4 referrals just because my buddies are moving across the country from the Marine Corps.
Oh, that's awesome.
I just
Seriously,
referred
yeah,
to my girlfriend in Kansas City. Like, I don't live in Kansas City.
everyone's moving, right?
I literally mailed 2 of my buddies a little like paper, and they hung them around the barracks and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just so people call me before they're doing it. And it's an
Yeah.
advice pamphlet. It's not even a thing, but it's like, yeah, I can hook you up with a good real estate agent.
Absolutely. Real estate's the same, like, wherever you're at. It doesn't matter that necessarily you're not a hyper local, like, no, you're not gonna pull the comps, but you can tell them how people are supposed to react in situations, how you're supposed to be handled by your fiduciary duty, like, those things are what you need to communicate. And that's why you want to vet their agents for them. I want to make sure that they answer the phone on the first ring. I don't want to go to their voicemail and not hear from them for 3 days. And I want to make sure that they have business actually sold. So those are the things that you're looking for when you're sending referrals. And that's what value prop you need to give to your friends and family, of saying, hey, just call me first. I'll make sure you're taken care of. I have a huge network. Keller Williams is 250 thousand plus agents. Regardless of that, if you're in like a little area that Keller Williams doesn't exist, I can still find you the agent that's actually gonna answer the phone. That's the thing. So you wanna make sure that you're staying in front of them. So yeah, referrals are awesome. Doesn't need to be like icky. I love that you just send out value. That's the main thing, so that they will remember that you're in real estate.
Is that like being hopeful that whoever you refer to that person like uses your name and like gives it to the agent and is like,
Oh, you set up an appointment for them.
gotcha.
You could 100%, you could 100% say, hey, this Erin's really great down there. I want you to reach out to her. Or I would call you and I'd say, hey, Erin, I've got a really great friend. They're moving out of the area. I need you to go talk to them about their house. Could you go over there tomorrow?
Gotcha.
Guess who loves those calls?
Mhm.
You guys. So 100%. And then also you just want to build that network. Once you have a good relationship with a referral area, especially like, where are people moving in from right now? That you don't know?
California.
Oh, wow. Texas.
Yeah, I'm from Texas, so.
Yeah, right? You came? So the thing is, you want to find your people in other locations as well. And then when you go to mega camp or when you go to family reunion, it's so fun because then you actually get to meet your referral partners as well. But you want to have a good network and you can mastermind with them. Like I talk to agents all over the country and it's fun to hear about like what's going on in their market. And then if they're doing something different on marketing, you can utilize it. It's just about building your network and obviously your career as well. So just think about those things as you guys are doing it. But yeah, 100% always set up the appointment because you want them to have the best shot of actually getting the listing or because they're going to have other agents as well that might reach out to them. But if it comes from you and it's a warm passive, like, hey, I love these people. I want to make sure they're taken care of. Can you please go to them? Make sure that you get their comps and everything correct. And then keep me in the loop. If they say that it wasn't a good fit, will you let me know?
Yeah.
But usually when you're on the phone with the agent, you can get a good vibe and you can understand like, actually this person would take care of my friend.
Well, a
So
lot of times you can give them a heads up, like if you know the person intimately that you're referring, it just gives the other agent that you're referring to a heads up about their life, where they're at, just kind of that
100%.
jump start.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you guys know when you guys are cold calling and you kind of like walk in blind, it's so much easier getting a referral from somebody and you're like, hey, no, Erin told me that you were ready to move. Like, I just want to make sure I get you all the details that I can help with. So anything additional on that is fantastic.
I think a lot of people are scrapping right now. Patrick Mahomes just listed his house.
Yeah.
And everyone is like,
Everybody.
oh my gosh, it's all over social media.
Where is it? I'm assuming it's in Kansas City.
Oh,
Is it in
yes.
Kansas
Yeah.
City? That's
I
awesome.
actually know a really great agent in Kansas City and I'm like, why are you upset about this? You could actually sell it.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, and if you guys ever have like a niche or anything like that, I mean, Keller Williams builds off a lot of different brands. So there's actually like a luxury and sports brand within Keller Williams. So if you guys are really into sports or anything like that, you guys can get into it. There's a great agent down there named Kalina Schumacher, who is a part of it. And she actually does she has a reality TV show now in Kansas City. And she's a part of it. And she gets so many referrals from the network because she's so good at those personal relationships, as well as being in front of those people. Everyone, like if you jump into the KW referral group, which if you're not a part of, I would join. If you ever see anyone say, hey, I want a referral in Springfield, I got a listing, that's a good place to go. But you can also, if you have somewhere you need to find an agent, post, I need an agent in Houston, Texas. Who do you guys have? And they'll give you multiple names to go in there. But if you say anything about Casey, Kalina Schumacher has the most comments because she's just one of those people that stays in front of everyone consistently and she treats her agents well, keeps them updated on what's going on. You want to do the same thing for you guys as you send out
What's her
referrals.
name?
Kalina Schumacher, which is your friend's name as well?
Jim Stewart,
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
he's big time, and his wife, they just got married, is head of the board at Kansas City.
Nice.
She just went from Tri-Lakes to Kansas City, which is why they moved. But,
Nice.
that's kind of a conflict of interest, don't you think? But I mean, he was pretty big time before they got together, so.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, and just find your people within it. Get to know the agents. I always call them and interview them before I send any data over. And then you guys, if you need the referral forms, let me know. I know that they've got them upstairs and I can also make sure you guys have the right ones. So we know that our database obviously has a lot. Don't skimp on the referrals, as we just kind of communicated, obviously. And then the main thing is we're going to touch a bit on feeding your database. And then next time you guys are going to learn about how to make your database smart. That's leveraging systems to help you guys do this easier, and making it as easy as possible. So do you guys have any ahas you want to share with me right now? How's it going so far? Anything good? Are we changing minds?
I like what you said, like, why shouldn't they pick me?
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Like anytime you're ever questioning yourself, like, can you flip the question to the other side of it, like a negative or positive connotation to make it easier for you guys? And it just takes time, guys. This is habit building. I didn't get all of your guys' times. Clayton, how long have you been in real estate? Nice, welcome. Sam.
Licensed for 2, but I've been in it for 5.
Oh, nice.
And then, but just.
When did you
went
just make the jump?
In
Or-
March.
In March? Okay, awesome. That's awesome. Jerem, how long have you been in? A week? Oh, welcome. And this is your first week. Good for you. That's awesome. Carrie?
So I did real estate for my prior company for 23 years, but
Oh,
I just got
nice.
licensed 2 years ago.
What was the prior company?
I was the senior director of operations for family pharmacies. We have
Oh,
pharmacies in
nice.
5 states and
So were you kind of on the back end of like finding the next place that they would do commercial?
all of the above. So
That's awesome.
brokering business transactions, like buying pharmacies, selling pharmacies,
Oh, you got a brain.
building.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
buying and selling businesses, buying and selling land, leasing.
That is awesome.
So kind of all of the above.
So were you in Texas?
I know I was
actually
in
have
Missouri, so I've
questions for
actually
you.
been
Okay.
here since I was in the military, so
Oh,
my
gotcha.
husband was from here, so spent 5.5 years in the army and then settled here.
Nice.
So
Stuck
I've
at
been here.
Leonardwood.
I actually only went through basic at Leonardwood. I got stuck at Fort Sam
Really?
for a long time.
Gotcha.
Okay. You both didn't mention, are you both prior military? Thank you for your service, by the way.
Yes, I am.
That's a huge sphere, which I love that you're already taking advantage of it, but,
I just group it in friends in my head.
no, yeah, it makes sense, but that's awesome that you're doing that. Also, everyone save her information because if you guys ever get commercial questions, I bet you can help them with it, right?
Oh, I bet I can.
Yeah.
And you can always come upstairs to my office if you get yourself in a bind. Because I've only been with KW since like the end of April, and I probably have had 15 agents come see me about commercial, all random questions. But just know I will be absolutely brutally honest with you if I think you're in over your head. Like, I will be like, you need to refer that out. I don't care who you refer it to. I'm not begging for your referral. But I will tell you, no, that is not something you can take care of. Like I had a call, young agent said, I have a client who wants to buy $100 million worth of commercial real estate in multiple states. I said, and you can't handle that. And I said, and to be honest with you, I don't want to handle that. So I said, you need to find some partners. I said, for one, because when you said multi-states, you as a residential agent are not qualified to handle that. You will get yourself sued. And not only in one state, in multiple states.
Wow.
So I will be honest with you, so just be prepared
Well,
for
and
it.
you probably have some good networks too that
Oh,
of who to
absolutely.
give them to, because commercial is totally different
It
and
is.
it is, which Sam, if you ever are like, hey, I need to do something that's a little bit more business to business side, commercial is,
Yeah.
but it's dry. It is not as exciting.
Commercial is not emotional, so
Yeah.
if you like the touchy-feely part and really loving on people,
Yeah.
they don't care. I'm just gonna say, they don't care. And it's also a lot harder to break through, if not for all the contacts that I already had and that I have probably worked with every brokerage in this town over the years. I probably wouldn't get a call back.
It's hard to get the right person to answer the right questions.
But if you come see me and it's really something you want to do, I'll set you up. Kind of Justin Johnson's a good example. I've started giving him like, here's the layer you need to go to. You're never going to get Jeff Childs, but if you go to Alex, you'll get Alex.
That's awesome.
Or, you know, if you want Lee McLean, you're not going to get him, but if you'll message Audrey, you'll get Audrey. So just trying to set people up for some success if they really want to do that. But
Yeah, no,
it
that is
does
good
take
advice.
a different mindset to do it.
Literally baby steps, but I mean, we've talked and
Yes, we have.
she said that I could shadow her when I want.
Yeah, no.
And if you're not gonna go, you're welcome. Like, if you're like, can I go with you on a leasing appointment? Can I go with you on a listing appointment? I'll take you if you want to go. If you want to go help me measure for national client who's very demanding, that's what I spent all morning and all week doing. You can go.
Yes.
And you will hear those conversations. So
No, that is really, really great because there's not enough good commercial agents out there. So I love that. Like teach them, mentor them. Yeah. And if it's something where you're like, I'm not getting good vibes from the touchy feely side, it's just dry. It's black and white. It's a little bit easier. but the thing is, it's just more complicated.
But the
There's a
stakes
lot
are
more
also
layers.
bigger because
Yeah.
those companies have money to sue you, whereas little Susie homemaker who bought a house and you didn't do a good job, she may or may not sue you. These guys will. So that's always how I operate. It's not, I always operate so much above standard and above board because I know they have enough money to sue me,
Yeah.
because I had enough money to sue them.
That's good.
I-
emergency fund needs to
Well,
be.
Mike Brown will show you a letter that's still in his desk drawer from when he got a nasty letter to get sued. So you just definitely want to keep your nose clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that to scare anyone. I'm just saying it's a different world.
And there is different ways to do it too, like, I mean, obviously referrals are the easiest way, but if you did wanna learn, I mean, like, if you guys ever, I don't know if you're ever open to co-listing, like, there's different partnerships that you can come up with as well, so don't always think that it's gonna be like one way, but yeah, absolutely, find the right people in each section. Commercial is a different wheelhouse. Okay, so there's different models. I'm sure as you guys are in Keller Williams, you guys have seen all the different types of models. And then the lead generation model is one that we're gonna start getting into. So what we're thinking about is that this is the foundation, right? Like if you have $1 million business, $1 billion business, $1 zillion business, what do you probably have at the very base of that foundation? What are we talking about? Lead generation, right? Yep, gotta find them, gotta have them. So that's the main thing is like, your business is just like everyone else's business. We have to actually have this and set up well so that you guys can succeed. So we're gonna work on, are you guys doing the daily success systems? I know how these classes sometimes go. Okay, cool. So sometimes there's not as participating, so I'm glad that you guys are. We're gonna do that at the end so that we can actually apply some of this, but let's talk through the model right now. So usually I think of it as a funnel, but they made it a little bit differently. And I like that they made it differently. Has anyone seen this before? The lead capture and lead generation model?
It's in the book, isn't it?
It should be
I'm pretty sure it's in the book.
somewhere in where there, it's in the book. So it's the number one thing that we've got to do. So I think it's interesting because we named all of these things and the reality is we're just talking about relationships, right? So can you guys name like a really negative relationship in your life and give me a trait of it?
Disrespect.
Disrespect. Love it. Yep. That's a really bad one. What else?
I
Dishonesty.
was gonna say dishonesty, yeah.
What else?
One-sided.
Think about your terrible relationships.
Yeah, one-sided.
Out of the dirt. One-sided.
Narcissistic.
Gaslighting.
Oh,
Gaslighting,
toxic.
Mhm.
There's just some
You
toxic.
guys have those like Eeyores in your life that you're like, oh my God.
I do.
Okay. So the main thing that we're talking about today really is actually relationships. So everyone has had a negative relationship in their life, right? Some kind of interaction, whether it was chosen or it was by an influence that you had in there. So what is the traits of a positive relationship for you guys? If you were talking about like your happiest person that you're with.
Attitude, positive attitude.
Yes. Kind.
Integrity, kind, loyal, loving,
Ooh, you guys have good ones.
compassionate.
Having empathy.
Love that.
Honesty.
teammate, partner.
Can't write this fast so you guys know what you're saying. But the main thing I want you guys to think about on this page is like the relationship side of it. How do we become this and never, ever enter into this? Like, we don't want to be a one-sided person that's always asking for business and just give me business. I want referrals. Like, I want your houses. I want your, don't ever do this. Like, this is how, well, you don't get chosen. So we want to make sure that we're leaning on the positive side or a neutral side. Like sometimes there's stuff that you can't really give people, but you can just be like a good person in their life. Doesn't mean that you guys are actually transacting. Guess who they can be? They can be great referral partners. Doesn't mean that they're actually going to buy and sell a house with you. Their aunt might be an agent that they love, but doesn't mean that they're not going to speak kindly of you. If somebody asks like, hey, is Clayton a good agent? They might say, oh yeah, I love him. He's great. You know, he served in the military. So if you have a good connection there, that's awesome. So you just want to make sure that you're leaning on this side always. And the main thing is to think about like, what's the value you can bring? So we talked about value propositions. Does anyone want to share theirs?
Go ahead, AI.
Chat GPT or whatever you've got.
His is really good though, even though it's AI.
Read your AI
Resilience and self-discipline. I navigate the dynamic real estate market to provide superior results for my clients, leveraging the extensive resources of Keller Williams, the world's largest real estate company. I persistently adapt to the industry changes, stay focused on your needs, and use disciplined strategies to turn your property aspirations into reality.
Where's the mic? Just drop it, just drop
Super
it.
impressive.
Right? When he read that before we knew it was AI, I was like, holy moly.
I
And
love
it's still
that.
really good, but
ChatGPT is amazing. If you haven't used it, use it, because literally, if you would have taken that list of what makes a person a good person, and you just stuck it in there, and you said, write me a bio entry, it would have taken all of that.
yeah,
and
I
stuck it
tried,
in.
he's gonna
It's
teach me after class.
amazing.
Ask that question, what makes a person a
Yeah.
good person?
And it'll kind of do it for
Lists
you
it out
too.
and it says, okay, take those and make it into this
Mhm.
kind of a statement.
And then if you don't like it, say remove and add, and it'll remove and add whatever you say. I use it all the
Pretty
time.
crazy.
Mhm.
It's lovely.
It's pretty
It's
impressive.
lovely.
It's great for scripts too.
It is great for scripts. And then, so what are the words that you are most attached to that it said? Or that you
Discipline.
input?
I heard discipline more
I
than
heard
once.
discipline a lot. Like that you navigate the changing real estate
Mhm.
market.
Resilience is my.
Resilience, yeah.
Resilience, that's a really good one.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna get out of real estate, so I never plan on retiring, which is why I want a database ginormous. And I assume everyone else is resilient in this room because you guys are all training and growing and trying to become the best agent that you guys can be. That's the thing is like, you do want to be resilient. So if you're struggling on your value prop, go back to words. Like, what's an important word to you? Do you know your values? Have you done that exercise yet?
Yeah, we did it all yesterday.
Okay, what's your values? Can you share them?
My values is integrity
Integrity, love it.
and honesty.
Mhm.
Don't lie to me. Honesty is a big one.
That's a really big one.
So yeah, those are the two biggest ones that I,
Has anyone had a car salesman that's like not a good,
Oh, I
honest?
did. I had a car salesman one time here in Springfield that when he took me in his office and I was fresh out of the military and very brash, he had all these signs like how to sell to women and
Oh, no.
being compassionate in the female transaction. He had all these signs all along his
Trying.
wall. So I saw and I was like, okay. And the first thing he did to me was, little lady, do you have a husband that's gonna be helping you? I said, well, that's a personal question. I said, yes, I am married. Will your husband be a part of this? I said, I'm gonna give you one more chance. You know, I just was like, I'm trying not to be mean. I'm gonna give you one more chance. And he did it again. And I just said, you are not gonna be right for me. I said, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go buy a card at your competitor and then I'm gonna drive through and wave at you. And he just looked at me and I did exactly that. It just, I mean, he had gone through 15 or 20 minutes of little lady and me and just acting like I was young, dumb, blonde, and I told him what I was going to pay. And that should have been his first thing when I said, this is what I want to pay for it.
Mhm.
Well, little lady, no. Strike one.
Car sales
Oh,
training
it's
is a
so
little
terrible.
bit different.
They're terrible.
I hope Keller Williams never gives you guys that vibe, because at the end of the day, it's like, I love that they're having you reach out and like just send out things that aren't about real estate, because they're humans that you're talking to. Like, we can't forget that, guys. Like, they're people that live in houses that hopefully we're making their lives better by interacting with them. And we want to make sure that we have those feelings. So that's why I'm always thinking like, am I being a good person on this phone or am I trying to be a salesperson? Because if I'm trying to be a salesperson, one, it comes off that way. Like, you can tell when people are trying to close you. You can tell when somebody has commission breath at a car sales place, right? You don't want to be that person. Like, you are literally just intentional about what you're doing, and you want to take care of them from start to finish. They'll become clients for life. They'll always reach out to you about real estate if they love you so much and you do the right thing by them always. And that's hard. People are assholes. Unfortunately, there's people in my sphere that are assholes, and I still want to do right by them. It's okay if they don't choose me. There are people you can walk away from as long as you have a big enough database. That's the point that we want to get to, right? Where you guys get to interact with only people you enjoy, not people that you hate, which is really unfortunate sometimes. But just keeping in mind like the positive interaction that you guys can always have. So do you guys have any does anyone have a mentor or a coach in here?
Shanna.
And Shanna? Oh, good. Is Shanna all your guys' coach? Almost all. Okay, well, she's my favorite person. So if she's not, she should be. She's amazing. But find somebody that you guys really look up to, either in real estate or like kind of close to it, because they should be the people that you kind of mimic on the phone or interacting with them, how you can find value. Because that's the main thing. It's easiest if you're surrounded by people that you want to, what's the word?
I wanna be like.
Yeah, emulate. Thank you. Yes, exactly. You want to emulate them. So surround yourself with individuals that interact like that. You should have a car salesperson, but you should have a car salesperson that you love, so then you can refer a business. Like that's the kind of interaction you want to have. You want to make sure that you're finding people that you like. Then your life gets like way better if you get all these terrible people out of your life. Do we have any introverts in the room, if they want to admit it or not? Okay.
I'm actually very introverted, I'll tell.
I think that that's one thing is like real estate agents always assume they have to be extroverted. You don't. Like, I love that you've done this for long enough that you know you don't have to, because you don't have to be this outgoing person that always want to interact with people. Most of the time, like I like to hang out with my dogs. I like to go camping out in the nature, and I don't like to see people, but I love hanging out with real estate people. Like I love talking to people about real estate, and I then go away from the world and I don't talk to anyone. So find your balance, and that way you guys can make sure that you're finding the right people to fill your buckets with, that you guys can then build these relationships that can feed you. The main thing about this is that as we fill these buckets, we want to make sure that we're capturing. So this is the correct information and that we are marketing to them, which you're going to learn about how to make it smart and how to utilize systems. I guess, is that next week? Is that next week? Do you guys pick up next week? Okay, so, okay, cool. So you will make it smarter next week, and that's the main thing. But one of the things is there's never too many leads. The quality is actually within the quantity. And that's one of my favorite quotes, because people think that, oh, well, I should only have like my favorite people in my sphere. I only know, like you mentioned when you went from 1,200, who you actually put into your database was 200, right?
Well, and I need to add more. I just am slower to it. Insecurity to call them and be like,
There's
hey.
a mass add button on.
No, I've done that, but I don't want to add all my kids' as contacts in there, like
Just go
little
ahead and
kids.
delete them.
There's 1,200, and I, like,
Yeah.
excuses is all you're
They're
hearing.
gonna grow up and then they're gonna be my
So,
clients.
right, well, I mean, I don't want to delete them off my phone, but at the same time, like, my older kids, I do have all their older friends and stuff, so I do,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and don't be scared, right? Like I have roughly 1,400. I mean, I am not married, just so you guys know I'm in a relationship, but I've dated on Tinder a lot. There's so many Tinder contacts on my phone right now. So I never take the time to delete them because I'm like, I don't really care. So, but guess what? If you market to them, who knows? They might buy or sell a house. You never know. So
They might swipe, was it right or left is the
Yeah.
bad one. They
I don't
might
know
swipe
which
the wrong way, but whatever it is.
I uploaded and then immediately went through. Yeah, so.
To work with me, you have to upload 200 of your sphere to get started. And my younger kids, they just didn't have a lot. So they would go through their Snapchats. There was ex-girlfriends in there, like ex-boyfriends. So, and yes, I made them reach out to them. So that, one, if you kill the nerves on it, it's fine. Like, I mean, worst thing is gonna happen is, no, you're an asshole. I'm never gonna talk to you again. Not a big deal. But at least you had that bad interaction. You're like, wow, I didn't die after that. So now I can do it again. And if it happens, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
So
So,
they start stalking you.
yeah, okay, like, if we're like really in this list, then don't call. Not that kind of people that we want to interact with. So then the next part of that is, so it's prospecting versus marketing. So the prospecting is obviously like the reach outs, marketing is more, a little bit passive. Do you guys have anyone sent out marketing yet? You have,
I
what do you
mean, our
do?
team does. We
Okay.
do Facebook leads, we do mass letters, like golden letters,
Mhm.
and then actually, that is probably pretty much it.
Yeah, no,
Those
it's
two
great.
marketings.
Do you guys do, you said you do newsletters or you?
We do golden letters.
Golden letters, okay. So the biggest thing that I can recommend to everyone is a newsletter. Just do, yep, a once a month newsletter.
Email one.
Yep, an email is fantastic. It's great if you can print, just flip it into a format that you can print. So then you guys can also mail it, because there's people that really like it. So the thing, I have a friend that's a YouTuber, and she's like, the great thing about social media is that, yeah, you get all this interaction from the younger generations. And yes, some of them can afford to buy homes, but you also want to market to the older ones. The older ones open newsletters. So you want to get your email campaigns going, and that's just a once a month thing. Don't make it bigger than it needs to be. It doesn't need to be dripping all the time. Just send out one value prop a month. Could be about a house that you sold, could be about somebody that you helped find a house. It could be about what?
What the market's doing.
Yeah, what the market's doing, any interest rate changes. And you don't have to always have all the information. You can literally just base it on questions of like, hey, I keep getting these questions. Are you interested in the same answers? Just trying to get responses. It doesn't have to be like overly developed. Literally, as long as you're staying in front of them, they see your name, they're probably not gonna respond to the email. But then when you call them and you say, hey, did you get my email? They're like, oh yeah, I did see it. Thanks for sending that. You know, it's great. It's good to know about my neighborhood values or whatever you guys want to send. But the prospecting is where the money is. So we want this, we need to do this. If I was gonna spend my time, like if I only had one thing to do, I would just prospect. Obviously, marketing's easy button, and you want to make sure that you have it down. But the prospecting, the reason that it's beneficial is because usually there's like low to no cost in it, or you can find the ways to do that. You can buy PPC leads. Again, they're slutty, so they're gonna be around chopping around. So, but the thing is, you want to think about where do you guys in Morrisville, are you in a neighborhood? Are you on land?
Well, I'm in a neighborhood, but everybody's on like 10 acres.
Okay, how many houses are there out there? Probably roughly. No, in your like
Oh,
little,
my neighborhood,
kind of like what you would call your little community.
10.
Maybe. Do you know all of them?
Yeah.
You do?
Mhm.
Do you have their emails?
You
Some
better
of
go
them.
and knock
See,
on doors.
the other thing about Morrisville is everybody's family.
Right.
My ex-husband, those are all his family.
Oh, I'm sure that half
So-
of them love you.
Half of them love me, the other half not so much. And one of his cousins is a real estate agent, so.
That's okay,
with
they may
somebody
not like
else.
her either.
Yeah,
That is true.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
just
just
saying
being
that.
honest, just
Well,
because their
so
family.
Corey, your value is integrity and honesty. Those, do you want any kind of other agent besides that? Like, do you want somebody that's just like a quick sale or anything like that? No, like I want that. Like, you're the kind of person I want to work with. So don't underestimate yourself. Also, I know that that's tricky when you get divorced, but it is something to reach out because they might want to hear from you. And it can be a soft touch. If they reject you, then yeah, you just move on. We just put them in this category and then we leave them alone. You don't have to keep them, but at least reaching out for them. And I know that Morrisville, there's also a lot of older families. So email might not be the best campaign way to get them. But if you can flip it into a printable page where then you can send it out in a newsletter, fantastic. It's just easy way for you to stay in front of them. They just see your name regularly. You're just popping in. If you can write a little handwritten note on it as well, it's great. One of the things that I like to do on this, especially when you guys are a little bit nervous about like, would they want to hear from me? Or like, why would they want to hear from me? What should I say? Just ask your friends and family. Like, whenever you're like, I actually don't know what you'd want to hear from me, call them and say, hey, I wanted to write up an email because I'm looking at all these home values and I'm spending all this time doing it. What would you actually like to hear from me? Like, I want to know, is it something that you're interested in, like home value rates? Do you guys want to know what the market's doing? Are you interested in looking at investment properties? Do you want to know return rates in the area? Do you want to know how to like get into Airbnbs? What would be something of value that I can actually add? Write them down, get a list as long as possible, because then it continues to create content for you guys on the marketing side. Also tells you what that demographic is thinking about. So then you guys can start creating avatars in your head of people like them that then you can reach out to again. So if you reach out to Lake people and they're all like, I want to know what's going on with the Corps of Engineers and if they're ever going to open up any more docks, if they're ever going to do anything like that. Are they going to ever open up permits on Airbnbs again? What's the long-term thing? I'd like to know it. Guess what that would then help you understand is if you called the county or whoever's in charge and said, hey, I want to know what's going on with this. What does this look like? How can I explain it to somebody in super layman terms so that everyone understands it? Then you know more about lake properties than probably 50% of the lake agents down there. So that's something to think about, like just getting value and adding it to it. So then you guys know what to say to people when you are talking to them on the phone. You can always use a little bit of that. Jumping off that, do you guys have anything else that you're thinking? Like, what else can you ask them to like get them information, other things that you think they might want to hear from your friends, family, church members?
I would say they probably would like an update on you. I mean, where are you at?
Oh, I love that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be all businessy all the time. It just might be, hey, wanted to just tell you what my family's doing right now. Hope yours doing good too.
I love that. Yes, I love Christmas newsletters. Not enough people send them. Or you can do a birthday newsletter, like, you know, hey, I just celebrated my birthday and this is what I did for it, you know, whatever you want to do. I love that. Yeah, make it personal, make it so that they can then see and remember who you are. Who knows, you might guys re-engage on one of your hobbies if you're doing it that way.
I know a lot of the military people have no idea about like VA loan benefits. And so like
Super
next week, my old platoon, I'm like doing a video class with them. They're gonna put me
That's
up on a
awesome.
projector and we're gonna like do a little video chat.
Yes, that is awesome.
Just because they have no idea. And like nobody has any idea, so.
I love that, right? Like we never actually learn how to buy a house in school. Like nobody ever knows that stuff. So, and people think it's so unattainable. So 100% like reach out. That's so great. Like teaching them how to do it, what benefits that they have attached to it. You guys have like such a good connection. Like, are you guys in military KW, like KW military? You are?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's so great. Like such a good network. You know that they're moving all the time. Erin, dental community, what could we send out to them?
Highland Springs listings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, and I'll give you a freebie. There is a loan program for people in the medical field.
Mm.
And it's not restricted. And I thought about just, you know, my past, I have 550 employees. A lot of those were like technicians and support staff. But as long as they have licensure, so dental hygienists, et cetera, you know, they're probably living in apartments. What a better way to get them into homeownership because it's 100% financing. And several banks have it around here. So if you want that information, because to me, I mean, I've just been sitting back brainstorming, how do you tap into that? Because, you know, they're leasing apartments or leasing houses and they could be owning for less. Even with the interest rate so high. I mean,
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's a really good point. Like, and know that about your guys' industries that you came from. I don't think there's anything in hospitality. I wish there was.
Well, actually, I mean, they know people, I mean, relocation.
That's true.
Because a lot of the business, like when Vital Farms put in their new eggplant, I guess you can call it, but you know, new businesses coming into
It's
town.
very true.
You know, there's a new Target coming now, and so that's what really gets me pepped up about commercial, because I'm always about the community development and
I
stuff,
love
so
that.
I think that I should be tapping into that more, and I even thought, I think it's a huge selling point around here is college kids, because parents would rather buy their kids a home to live in for the next 4 years rather than
100%.
rent an apartment.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that happens a lot too. So at hotels, they usually do the parent weekends
Yes.
and they do promotions.
Super
around
smart.
that. So I thought I should probably be tapping into that for sure.
Absolutely.
And 1 and 2 year like professionals, like they just got their degree, they've
Yes.
got a salary. Now they're looking to buy a home,
Yeah.
like first time home buyers.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's.
So, yeah, and get in front of them. So I love that because you can do it as a newsletter and then also, yeah, go to the events, go be in person there. So then that way they get to know you. And then also you can ask them questions like, how do I find your guys' information to get it to you? Did you have something to add? Yes.
I used to be a bartender too, so.
My first time out, like, once I came back here, I got 7 new contacts that first night. Because
Yes.
it was like, they were right before finals or something like that. So like all the college kids were out. And so they were just coming up and asking questions and I was a wealth of knowledge to like ignorant college students. So they were just asking all kinds of.
Glomming onto you. They're
Oh, yeah.
super excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then obviously, Corey, you mentioned the ball field, right? Yeah, that's such a good one, because like you're out there with family members and all of the people. They probably would love an update of the schedule, you know, and get those things from you. I'm sure you could share it from the website and just being able to put that information back in front of them. So just think about whatever else you guys are doing and then just grab blurbs. Like I always grab 417 magazine's blurbs about like the local stuff. And then that way I have value from the area. So wherever you're at, just think about like what you can do, and then you can do promote businesses, go in there and tell them like, hey, I love your cupcakes. Like, can I share a blurb about how amazing it was? Just do something. And also this is where like, I turn to my friends and family. I want to help everyone grow their wealth as well. So if I can, you know, promote a dentist clinic that I love, like that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to them about it. If they're running a special or something that I can help them get promoted, it's free advertising for them. You guys then get to add value to your database as well. So the next thing is just making sure that we're tracking this in the best way possible. So when you're getting these leads, does anyone have a way that they're categorizing their database now? Tags, stages?
I've been using tags mainly
Okay.
because like, whether it's landlords, whether it's tenants,
Ooh, that's
whether
good.
it's, they're looking for land, whether, you know, warehouse and how big of the warehouse. So I've added tags to just kind of separate certain stuff.
And people can be different buckets, right? They could be landlords and tenants.
Yes.
So they can have multiple things. Tags are probably the most universal way to make sure that you guys are categorizing your database, but find what you'll actually utilize and apply every day. If you're only gonna do it one time when you're like feeling super antsy and like you got your database going, don't do it. Like you need to find something that you can consistently do, and make it as simple as possible so that if you guys ever need a person to come in, if you hire a VA or you hire an assistant, they can then understand what you're doing. The worst thing is to work for somebody and then all you have is a name and you're like, I don't know what they are. Like, is this a buyer? Is this a seller? Is this a agent? Like, what am I doing? You know, it's like my least favorite thing when I jump into an agent's database and I'm calling another agent asking if they want to sell a house. You know, it's easier if you guys know that it's an agent versus, so just make sure you're tagging stuff the way that you need to. Because then it'll help you form the relationships that you're sending the right information to. So if you have everyone tagged that they are from the baseball, I'm assuming is what we're talking about. So they're from that community, they're the ones that would want information about that, but they might not want information about the lake. You know, they might not want information about something else. So if you have them tagged, you can send it. And most of the stuff you can make generic enough, everyone will want to hear from it. But if you want to get specific and hyper local and make sure you're targeting a certain area, you want it tagged well. So the main thing is that we're containing them in some form. Who has a database that they're using right now besides their phone? Okay, what are you guys using?
I'm just using the command.
Command,
Oh, yeah,
perfect.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Command-ish, okay, awesome. The main thing is making it simple as possible. So command is awesome. It's a good way to filter everything. It's already smarter than most of us. So it can do all of the listing alerts and everything like that in there. Just make sure that you guys are dating it regularly, right? Like getting into it every single day. The thing is, and I know that that's weird because like Saturdays and Sundays, you might want to like put away your phone. It's okay for you to get in there. I'm sure we all do some kind of activity where we're either like drinking coffee or watching Netflix. Jump into your database and just make sure you're cleaning it as you go. Find times where you're like down and you're like, I don't feel like calling, but if I can make my list easier tomorrow by making sure that I have the people set up for Monday, just do it while you're watching whatever, you know, drama show you're watching. Sure, you guys all have guilty pleasures, but find time to get into it every single day because it'll help it be a lot easier. And the main thing is that we just have multiple areas that we can add into this. These are all in command. Is there anything else besides tags anyone uses to sort people? Probably not. Okay. So besides tagging, yeah, notes. My worst thing ever. How do you keep your notes, Carrie?
Like my notes on a client, I try to, right now, I'm trying to put them into command as well, just so that if I pull them back up, I have them, but all different ways. I'll make notes on my phone, I'll make notes on paper.
Right.
But I try to circle back and put them all back in.
So my one trick I learned is because I would write it on paper, take a picture of the paper in case you lose it immediately. Also now iPhones, you can search your photos, which is really cool, even if it's a photo of a piece of paper that you wrote on. So make sure you're doing things like that. But ideally, it's going to end up back in the system, right? A lot of the CRMs now we can search in the search bar, even for your notes. So I don't know if command's there yet, but I'm hoping it is. But one day, like if you type in like mower, you know, like then you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I talked to him about a lawnmower, and then it'll pull up your people. So the main thing is making sure you have notes. One, because if you ever have people follow behind you, or if you're referring it, it helps if you have something to give them. Then also it helps you have a jumping off space where you guys are gonna be able to call them and say, hey, last time we talked, was your birthday? How was it? Did you have too many drinks? How did your day go? Tell me about it. So make sure you're taking notes. That's like my one thing I always have to say. I'm the worst at it and I will continue to get better every day. So the two types, and some people say it a little bit differently. So leads, somehow you got their contact information. They asked you for something, probably like a Facebook lead, you know, somehow you guys collected this data. And then contacts you've actually reacted or interacted with. Other way people say this is Mets and non-Mets. That's a tag that we regularly use. And so Mets is people that we've interacted with, non-Mets is cold. We never talked to them. So whatever you guys want to tag in that way, make sure that you guys have them verified, because then that way you know, hey, I've got to get through all these leads. I have like 1,000 of them that I've never interacted with. I need to come up with a game plan, chunk it down so I can reach out to them. The contacts are people that you should have interactions with. So guess what they should have? Notes. So make sure your contacts have notes. So that's the main thing. Why do you know them? Where are they from? Do they like you? Hopefully they all love you. Things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the notes, if you guys ever use, I'm a talk to texter, because
Oh, yeah.
I can't keep up with my thumbs. So right after I get done after a call, and this is something I learned from Brian, is like, you just literally push the thing, start talking because it's freshest on your mind, and talk about
Love it.
everything. So if you're doing a quarterly, you can go back to the last quarter and just be like, oh, the last call, all of this happened, and then.
So smart. Yeah, the recording features are awesome. Also, if it just talk to text and like I send it to myself.
Yeah.
Especially like if I have a listing I need to pull back up, I'll text it to myself. So then that way I've got it at the top of my messages. So great point. Yeah, do that as much as possible. There's tons of way to make that easier for you guys. So.
I think you can actually call your contacts from command and then it does that follow-up right then. So
Yep.
then if you just hit the button and talk it into the box.
Exactly.
I'm not always deliberate about doing that because I'm real bad about just calling the contact from my phone, call so-and-so. But I'm trying to get myself a little more disciplined to call from command or to message from command, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think how I have had people break that habit, because it is really hard. But you want your CRM also to track your time in there, because then it'll help you break down your numbers of like, how long does it actually take me to get an appointment? Or how long does it take me to actually get to a closing? If you know that it's tracked, it's easier in there, utilize your system. So if you guys aren't doing it, make sure you stop afterwards and look at your phone log and see how many phone calls you've made. If you're not doing it there, because it is easier if the CRM is tracking it. I actually,
Times too. That's
You
awesome. Return on investment times too. That's awesome.
agents on my team, I don't allow them to have the phone numbers of clients, so I only put it in the CRM, so they can't take it out of the CRM, so they have to call from my CRM. So, and then it's recorded no matter what. I yell at them, I audit them regularly, and I tell them that they have to call from the system, because it also makes sure that we, like, if a client calls us back and says, hey, I've never heard from your agent. And then I'm like, that's weird. They called you 3 times. It looks like they tried to leave you multiple voicemails and your voicemail was full. I have that data to give them versus them just being able to immediately attack you. So same thing, hopefully it's never a negative connotation, but just thinking about it, like you guys want to know what you're doing in your database and also being able to figure out what you're doing every day. It's also good for time audits. Like if you're not tracking it, if your spouse asks you what you've been doing all day and you're like, oh, I lead gen all day. And then like, if they're like, cool, show me. And you're like, I can't, like I didn't do it on the system that you can track it back. So that would be one thing that you could think about doing.
Yeah, I just think like, it would maximize me being able to dissect my 20% a lot better if I knew you just spent 4 hours every other day doing cold calls through Vortex and you got 3 leads from that.
Right.
Where could you better spend your time?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and how often should you reach out to them? So you reached out to them this week. And is it like a quarterly reach out? Like, what do I want to do with them? How often should I be reaching out to them? If it's not a great return, is it me saying the wrong thing? Because then this is how you can get into it. You can say, is it me saying the wrong thing or is it the wrong people that I'm reaching out to? So you can definitely start converting, which I don't think I get to talk about conversions, but I hope you get a really good person at conversions. But I know my numbers down to a T. So if you ask me any source, I can tell you how often I would need to call somebody to be able to reach it out, because over time I've tracked it so well that I could tell you in 2 hours I could get X. So it's just knowing those numbers and then how much time you can invest in it. It also helps you when you're in a different chapter of your life and then you have a system to fall back on, knowing I only need 2 hours in this database to do X, Y, and Z versus not knowing your system. So know your numbers for sure. So as we're cultivating the relationships, we're trying to strengthen them. That's the main thing. So it's all of this data that we kind of talked about of like what you could send out to them to make sure that we're strengthening them. Who gets handwritten cards from some company?
Like buys handwritten cards?
No, gets a handwritten card. I
Oh,
mean,
I-
yeah, which company is it?
So I do a lot of stuff with USA Gymnastics and they almost always send me, every single time I do something, I get a card.
Is it every time you interact with them or like?
Not necessarily every time I interact with them, but I do I go all over the world for them. And
That's
so
awesome.
if I'm ever doing whatever, they'll send me a thank you for doing that.
How
And
do
a
you
birthday
feel when you
card.
get that card?
Oh, it's always so nice.
It's so awesome, right?
If they have Simone Biles send you a handwritten card, it's a pretty cool thing.
It's
so.
awesome.
That's so sick.
It is so awesome. So,
On mine, I've been saying, I just wanted to send you a happy mail. How many times do we open it and get happy mail? Normally it's like, oh.
Yeah.
goodness.
100%, I like ignore half the mail I get, it's so boring. So, yeah, no, the thing about it is like, that's strengthening your relationships. It's so nice to get a card from a friend, like, it is the best thing ever, especially when it's like sweet and you're just thinking about them. My friend from Hawaii sends me like photos of us together and it just like reminds me of all my memories, and I'm like, oh, I love it. So that's the nice thing about it. I go to Supplement Superstore and I'll do a plug here. Every time I go there,
They are.
they are on it. They write about everything that, like, sometimes what I'm wearing that day, like I brought my dog in one day and they're like, oh my God, I love your dog. They are literally on it. And I'm
It
like,
is legit.
it's amazing because I'm like, there's sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 people in there and they're keeping track of me in there and they always make it
Hey,
personalized.
it's been 3 weeks, I
awesome.
haven't seen you. I'm like, how do you know it's me? I know you were busier than just me.
It's amazing because they've systemized it and they've made it a part of their culture. It's actually not a requirement in their companies, but they just recommend you doing it. And it makes me feel so special. I would never go anywhere else. So that's the kind of feeling that you want, is that people are thinking about you in that same regard of like, I would love to be able to have that relationship with you. So I love handwritten cards. I think we need to get back to them. If you're not doing them, figure it out a time when you can do it and make it fun. Like get cool cards that you love looking at as
They
well.
have to be timely. That's what I
Yeah.
would always say. Like every time I meet somebody, in whatever life I'm in, I always send a handwritten thank you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you should, right? Timely is great. But I will say, as long as you do it, just do it. Like, make sure you're actually doing it because it's just something to be thinking about. And that's one of the better ways. Does anyone else have like a handwritten card, similar item that they would do, that they love? Like, do you guys ever, sometimes I wake up to about, like, if I had a dream about my friend, and I'll just text them and be like, I was thinking about you. Miss you. What are you doing?
That's what I think so far, most of us in here have said that we go to church or believe in God or
Yes.
whatever. So, and I'm all about God in my world, but to just say, hey, I just wanted to drop in and just let you know that you're thought of, you're seen, you're heard.
Yes.
I love you, like, which guys wouldn't say I love you, but
Sure.
to meet a woman where they're at, hey, you are a great mom, and I pray
Yes.
that this card meets you at the right place at the right time.
I love it. Yes, absolutely.
To
Just
be a little bit just,
thoughtful.
yes.
absolutely. Yeah, no, let people know, because like there is so much hate in the world. If you guys can be the light and the love and like send out good vibes, you're gonna get it back. And then also it makes me smile when I make someone else smile. So I love it. Like that's what you guys want to focus on.
Even to know, for something like you said, to know that they're thought of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I will-
was thinking of you.
Being purposeful, that's what you have to do all of that. You
Mhm.
actually have to be purposeful and intentional.
Mhm.
You just don't get up and think, oh, I'm gonna send out 15 text
Right.
messages saying, hey, have a good day. I'm praying for you today. You have to be purposeful and intentional
Yeah.
to do that. And so setting your day up for that, like you could send 5 text messages before you leave your house.
Absolutely. Well, what if you sent gratitude every morning to somebody in your world and just said, hey, thank you for my life. Like, thanks for being in my life.
I
I
don't
just
think
love
we
you.
realize that nobody really does that.
Yeah,
It's
And
easier to
so-
say something bad than to say something good.
100%. And that's what you get all the time, like all the
Like,
interactions.
kind of like
So-
it uses more muscles in your face to frown than it does to smile.
So sad. Yeah, why are we doing that? Like, why we're constructed that way? So, but yeah, so just look at it as like how you can strengthen those existing relationships and what you can make it a little bit more systemized just to make sure that you're doing it regularly. But that's why you guys are also in this group too. I hope all of you guys stay connected after you guys get out of here, but just ask everyone like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's your reach outs? You know, how are all those things going? Have you done anything different? Have you had any good success with stuff? Share that amongst yourselves because those are the things that one will help like keep you energized about doing it. You'll keep wanting to do it if you hear about other people's successes and you can adjust it. Maybe somebody has another idea of how to do it. Melinda Love said that Aunt Adam Grady told her one time, so I wanted to make sure I gave credit to everyone in that sentence, that she heard from him, if somebody is in your brain, like you are thinking about somebody, immediately call them. There's a reason that like
Yes.
something is happening
Yes.
that you need to interact with them. So timely, 100%. If somebody pops into your head, there's some reason that you need to reach out to them. And sometimes, like most of the time for me, it's just like, people are like, oh my God, you had no idea how much I needed to hear from you right now.
Like it gives me
I just
chills every time.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
it's
know if
amazing. So
one in
don't miss
3
those
people.
opportunities when you hear them, and when you think of somebody. So when we are looking at it, when we're sustaining those relationships, it makes it easier to convert them, right? Like if they know who you are, they know that you actually matter, like if they matter to you and they know your values, that's gonna be easier for you guys to actually convert people. So we'll just talk about the different types of communication. Talked about handwritten communication, KW app. I've not used that. Has anyone used that for interaction?
That's what I was saying. You
Yeah.
can call.
Oh,
email,
just
text
to start in the CRM?
through the
Okay.
Well, it's hooked, the app hooks to your CRM,
That's
so it
awesome.
is your CRM.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
now they've done a whole bunch of updates where you can log everything just
Fantastic.
from the app on your cell phone.
That is great.
So
I
the,
send all kinds of people my app just because they search
That's
for
the other one.
houses.
Oh, I
in
love
the
that.
app, and it notifies me,
Good.
not
yes.
any other realtor who's buying Zillow leads.
Do you have that saved as a link right now?
Yeah, in my, like every social media thing.
So
ever.
if you go into it and you go, I'll have to do it, but there's a way you can send it.
Yeah, I
Nicole
was
told me
gonna say,
upstairs.
if you guys know how to do your cards, your business cards and your contacts.
Yeah.
Add the KW link into it. So then that way they have your app immediately in it. But then they also have your contact information. And usually people feel prompted to then send you their details. So as you guys do it, making sure that you guys do that. So then we've got phone calls. I am a huge proponent for the phone because I think not enough people talk to people on the phone. Obviously not everyone needs to have like a 20-minute conversation, but reaching out via phone, even if they switch it to a text message, like, hey, I can't talk right now, at least you made the effort of going to call them on the phone. Also, you can get through conversations so much quicker, right? Like how many times are you going back and forth and you're like, gosh, I wish I could just jump on the phone with you and answer this. Email, I'm not like, it's super helpful for a lot of data, but besides the newsletters, I don't know if you guys need to be using emailing to like prospect people. I hate when people are super passive about it, like, hey, you want to sell your house via email? And I'm like, I don't know who would ever respond to that. I hope you get it, but face to face, look at your guys' time when you guys are out and about doing these things. If you can track it for like a month and figure out how much time you're spending at the lake, at the golf, if you're at your kids' events and things, figure out how much time you're out there and then see if you could make a game about it of like, how many contacts can I get while I'm out face to face with people? You know, like how many people could I interact with right now? I don't want to tell them I'm a real estate agent, but I just want to talk to them and see if you can get their information, see if you have enough in common that you guys actually want to add them to your sphere. And then, yeah, we touched on the handwritten communication, the power of it. It's amazing. Like, and if you guys don't know what to say, just saying, thinking about you. Or if you have a success story that to share, like people like to hear about people's success. So don't feel like you should shy away from saying, hey, I just closed your neighbor. I'd love to chat with you if you have any questions on the market. Everyone just got their tax bills, right? Or tax evaluations in Greene County. So as you guys are getting that, that's another great point that you can reach out and say, hey, I know you just got your tax valuation. If you have any questions, call me. I'd love to chat with you about it if you have anything that you need. Cool. Oh, it doesn't talk about social media. I think it talks about it later. Cool. So the reason that we do all of this, after we convert them, we're hoping that they go back to the very top. So we want to make this client a referral loop. You want to wow them so much that they then will only send your friends and family to you. And then also that they will, anytime they're thinking about real estate, they call you first. That's our goal. So we want to maintain the relationship, be authentic, be genuine, be yourself, because then they will come back. If they can tell you're being shady, if they can tell that you're not being honest, they're not going to come back to you. So that's our goal of cultivating the relationships to turn it into repeat business. Everyone lives somewhere. It's just the truth of it. Okay. So that's the final piece. As we kind of we're going to jump into the success system here soon. But the main thing is that like lead generation never really ends. The reason that people don't think it's fun is because they don't make it fun. Like if you guys start thinking about these avenues of your life of like, how do I lead generate better in these areas? It will become fun because you're doing this anyways. You're making your life productive if you're doing it when you're out in your hobbies. So just thinking about it a little bit differently and reframe it in your head of like, hey, this could turn into more business, or it could be the like real estate agent of choice, or I could just teach classes about real estate or commercial real estate and teach them all the things. But it does never end. It's best when it's time blocked, and it determines the size of your business. So I hope you all want large businesses, right? We all want really big ones. So I want you to have a huge database that you guys can continue to go back through. Do you guys have any ahas from this section? Kind of the funnel, the system, the model around it? And I'm sorry, I didn't get to meet you. What's your name?
I'm Christina.
Hi, Christina. I'm Ashtyn. Thanks for coming.
Sorry I was late.
No, I'm so glad you joined. I know you haven't got to see everything yet, but if you have any questions afterwards, just call me or let me know.
I think one of the big things is to take away is that there's no right or wrong way to do it. Like you can send out, I mean, what your contact and your touch to people is, the possibilities are endless. So don't get trapped up on what to do, just do it. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Just be out there. Just be out there. And if you're an introvert, which is okay if you're an introvert as well, but be out there in a way that feels natural to you. Because I will say probably the majority of people are introverts. They're not extroverts. So if you're reaching them on their level, they're going to want to engage with you because you're not going to be like, hey, come party with me. They're going to be like, oh, hey, that's cool that you're reading this book. Like, I like that book, you know, that's awesome. So yes, 100%, as long as you're doing it, just do it. I will say, and I don't know if it's going to go into this at all, social media is the hardest thing I think to track, but it's important. So when we were talking about like call time and stuff like that on the social media area, that's something that's a little bit tricky to like really get down to earth. If anyone has any tips on it, I would love to hear them. But just thinking about how much time you spend on social media and interacting with people, commenting on their stuff, saying happy birthday and things like that. Think about it if you can start tracking it, because that would help you guys knowing how many times you need to interact with somebody before they feel like they're your friend. So there's a rule in a book called Ninja Selling, and it's 8x8. So 8 touches of value before you ever ask for anything. So I would assume that it's probably similar in social media. I'm just going to say that, I don't know for sure. But if you could add 8 pieces of value to their life, like saying like, oh my gosh, you look so gorgeous in this photo or something like that, adding in like that before you ever really engage with them on like a business side of a relationship. So just something to think about. But did you have a thought on that, on like tracking social media?
Well, the only thing I've ever done, I mean, it tells you like who's engaged with you, but not time wise.
Yeah, right.
Do you think it actually takes 8 touches?
I think that if you do that, it feels more genuine.
Okay.
So I think you could get it before then. They might ask you before 8 touches. But I think after 8 touches, you've poured enough value into their life that it doesn't feel unorganic, that you're asking them, hey, by the way, did you have any questions about anything?
I will
So
say that lately I've been so incredibly crazy that I've had to set aside time for social media.
yeah,
So then I can actually really track it.
Right.
It's been usually later in the evening, and maybe it's midnight when I'm doing it, when I'm having to do it, but when I'm doing it. So I can track it only because I don't have time to aimlessly scroll
Right,
through social media.
and that's good. That's a fair point. Because if you're time blocking for it, that's fantastic.
Well, I don't know that I was technically time blocking, but I was
Right.
trying to cram it in so that I can meet my goals
Yeah.
for this class.
I know, right?
So,
Right, I get
I mean,
that.
I'm being honest, and I just had never been as intentional about it, so maybe it does, like, maybe you do scroll aimlessly throughout the day, but if you want to get purposeful, then say, okay, I'm gonna spend an hour making all my comments, making a post, and then I know I did at least 1 hour.
Right.
Where I put that hour is up to me, but
100%. I mean, I like watching reels. I like watching that stuff. Yeah, but just make it purposeful. Like comment on things that make sense to comment on. I think I'm not a huge Facebook person, but obviously like with real estate, you kind of have to be. But I've realized that on the desktop, it actually highlights when the birthdays are. So if you can like maybe have the window open and maybe Mondays check it and like see whose birthdays are coming up this week. And then that way you guys have like,
or next week and send them
Yes,
a card.
exactly, like just kind of like thinking it and foreshadowing like where you're trying to find it. So just find tricks like that. And if you guys like, when you're in groups like this, especially ask other people what they're doing on social media, because there are some really good social media gurus. Hopefully you guys have some of them, but they'll teach you how to do it. So just make sure that you ask those questions. But yeah, that's a tricky one to kind of track it.
Yeah. Only thing I've ever time block for in social media is just like creation. So like I'll
Yeah.
set an hour aside
That's a good point though.
to make a couple posts, and then I'll just set them on a timer to post.
Well, and that's smart. I didn't really think about like talking about that, but yeah, on the marketing aspect of it, yeah, making sure that you do that. And then, I mean,
But then you can track that, because if you set aside an hour to do that, then what did you get from it? So you're technically doing the exact same thing I said
Yeah.
I've been trying to do. It's just you're using it for a different purpose. But ultimately, the same goal is there for both of us.
yeah, absolutely.
I just know I'm a scroller, so if I'm actively getting on there often, it's gonna be an issue. So
That's
Well,
why,
I
that's
sat
why I
there-
said I don't have time to get on there and aimlessly scroll.
yeah, and
So I've just been doing, right before I go to bed, I've just been trying to do kind of cram.
yeah, I don't touch it. I took it off my phone, so I have to do it on the computer actually.
Smart.
and
Yeah.
So I can,
It's also easier to type there, right? So then you can actually make comments versus just liking. So, yeah, absolutely.
Or if you don't you don't have to necessarily comment on a post, the algorithms, if you actually direct message them, you will get more of an interaction with them on your Facebook posts.
That's smart.
So whenever you comment or direct message will actually keep them in your newsfeed.
That is a smart, and yeah, that's a good point because the algorithm changes based on who you interact with. So smart. Tawny worn out if she's, I don't know if she's teaching. I hope she's one of your teachers, but if she's not, I'm gonna steal what she might say. She goes live at all the houses. I don't know if you guys are friends with her on Facebook. Yeah, and she goes live because everyone gets a notification. So she's like, every time I'm doing it, everyone sees the notifications of me going live. So I stay at the top of mind of people. That's how she's doing it
And
regularly.
you will do, I've learned, instead of making a post, you make a story. You are gonna get triple the amount of flow
Yeah,
of people seeing your story, because how many of us want to treat it like TikTok or,
I love stories.
or, yeah,
Yes.
right? Everybody likes stories way better than they like posts. So your stories are gonna get almost quadruple what your post will, just.
You guys are in class right now, you can take a picture and say, I'm learning how to be a better agent, like all those things, post it as a story, like just make sure you're doing it regularly so you stay in front of your people. Also, I will say, don't be like the annoying real estate agent that only posts about real estate. Please post about your other areas of your life, like that's why you do it. Like you don't only do real estate, you are.
That's why I gave a break yesterday. I was like, I need a break. I mean, I know a post about myself, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is
Stay
about
part
real
of the
estate.
real
I just
estate
needed
agent.
to.
But
Yeah.
these people too, like they wanna know
I
that.
tend to get into that rut of real estate, and then I'm like, I need to back off of this for just a moment and
Just
put
got
something
separate
about
accounts.
myself on there.
Yeah.
For your page and then your, yeah, which I like it. I think there's benefits of both. I think that if you can, make sure you're still posting about real estate on your personal side,
Mhm.
just in case they don't
Yeah,
follow
I
you.
just share it always on my story, like if I make a post on
Oh,
the
good,
real estate
okay.
one, cause it's got like like 1/100th of the traffic, you know, that my
Right.
actual
Smart.
social media.
It
side
is
is,
smart,
so
and
it's-
also your business page is smart to have, like, it's nice to have that. Also, if you ever use, if you guys dive into the social media apps, having the business page actually makes it easier to schedule post.
Yeah,
So those are super helpful.
Facebook marketing is so easy.
Yeah, that's definitely a better way to do it on that one. But yeah, just come up with different ways and then just make sure you're posting regularly on there. Do utilize it. But also that's why the newsletter and other things are helpful, because beyond that, we also want to get the demographic that's not on social media. Or limited on it, I suppose.
Are you doing that? Getting people's information, like messaging people.
Ooh, can you say that louder, Sam?
She's been, I'm trying to like suck people from my Facebook
Mhm.
contacts over to like my real contacts and then execute. So
Love it.
what were you like, what was your template of what you were saying to get people's addresses and information?
So, well, I've just been private messaging them and just asking if I could have their address and like, I don't know if it was Monica that said it the other day, but even if you just have to tell them like, we're doing a real estate competition.
Oh,
yeah.
And then, I mean, I've used that.
People
some
love
of
You can
that.
do your own competition.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're competing with someone else.
Yeah.
I'm doing the real estate competition.
I'm here at all the houses.
yeah.
And then I'm just literally hand putting it into my command.
Oh,
Like, and then.
I just sent out a bunch of messages to them all and just said, hey, I'm updating my contacts list. I would
Yes.
love to have you be in my contacts
Mhm.
list. I
Yeah.
just need your name, number, and address.
There was,
You know, but-
Maria sent out a really good email or text message. And it was basically like, hey, was gonna go send you an email about market updates and I realized I didn't have your email address and this was for text messaging. Can I go ahead and grab your email so I can send you that and your address so I can send you a birthday card when it's your birthday? And like, that was the way that she got them hooked. And I was like, oh, that's so smart. Like everyone wants birthday mail. So timely would be great if it is around their birthday, but even if it's not, just saying like, hey, I'm updating my system. I want to make sure I have your birthday down and your address so I can make sure I get your business card and your email. So just any way that you can kind of ask those questions, it's super helpful. But if you can't do it around their birthday, that's fantastic. Don't feel weird about it. It's not that weird. People just won't respond. Like,
Yeah, I guess
don't
if
get
they don't
super
want you to.
They may
yeah.
think you're a scammer,
Send
but
memes. Like if a meme that makes you think of somebody, send it,
Yeah,
because
it's
they'll
true.
probably like it and then you can talk to them.
Yeah, 100%.
Do it all.
Absolutely. Well, and like sometimes like I do a social media purge where I'm like, I don't want to be on social media anymore. So like the only way I'm going to reach you is if I have your phone number. So just being like, hey, I'm taking a break from it for a little bit. Can I get your number? Make sure I still have it.
Yeah, my
So-
name will be like, yeah, right.
Like I'm not messaging anyone else. But yeah, don't feel weird about it. I think that we get in our head about it. And at the end of the day, if they don't care about you, they just
when
won't
people get
respond.
weird about it, what's so crazy to me is that they'll go and cold call all morning long.
I know.
And they feel weird about contacting somebody that they actually know. It's like, friend, which one makes you feel more weird?
I do not know why people are so scared of reaching out to their sphere, but yeah, 100%. Like when I train people, they're like, okay, I'm so ready to not call my sphere anymore. Can I please have that cold call list? Like, please give it to me. Like, they want it so much more than that. And I think it's just because we don't want to come across as their like bad salesperson, but just don't be a bad salesperson. Like actually care about them, understand what they're going through in their life. Like, where are they at? It doesn't need to be a sale. They just need to love you as a person and then everything else will work out. So just be a good person while you're doing it. So we are going to talk a little bit about expanding your SOI. So I know we've actually already kind of got into this, so I'm going to jump through these ones, but who wants to tell me what this photo is? What are they doing in there?
Community service, maybe?
That was a good guess.
I mean, they're gardening, but it looks like
Home Depot.
It does look like Home Depot.
Looks like an urban garden.
It does look like an urban garden. I could, and they're young, so like I'm up here closer, so I can tell they're really young. So yeah, who knows? Community service garden, great. I love community service because that actually gives us an activity we can go interact with. What's this one?
The gym.
You wanna go to the gym here?
No, I need to.
Okay, yeah, good. Well, if you go to the gym, do you think of it as your sphere of influence? You know? Kind of awkward. I don't really always talk to people at the gym, so I understand. But that could be, could you add it in? Could you find a generic, like a genuine, not weird way to approach people in the gym? You know, don't be creepy about it. So, this one that is covered up by the KW symbol. Your neighbor.
Yeah.
I love my neighbors. They're my favorite.
Home improvement.
Oh, yes, it really is. This one it does look like community service, right? It does look like Red Day. Yeah, okay, and then this one, I don't know what.
Like a senior living?
Or neighbor
Community
walker.
center?
Yeah, senior living, maybe.
Well, the picture's taken from someone's car, which is kind of
That's
crazy.
okay.
I'm trying to figure out if this is the stalker one or.
They look kind of similar, so I don't know if they're like friends or just dad group together. It's adorable. This one also looks like another Red Day. Is this, anyone catch this one?
Coffee
Coffee
shop.
shop, yep, your barista, doctor. Do you guys think of them as your sphere of influence?
I've never thought like service providers for you, like a doctor or something like that.
Right.
I used to have a rule in my past life that we only did business with people who did business with us.
Yes.
And so when we had because in pharmacy, everybody wants you to pitch their product all day long. But I would just tell people, hey, unless you do business with us, we don't do business with you. And it's not, this isn't a disrespectful thing. It's that we want to patronize those that patronize us.
Love it.
And you would be amazing how powerful that is.
How many of you guys have vendors right now that you're utilizing for house cleaning, home inspections,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
repair items on them, right? How many of them have sent you a referral this year? You guys have to ask them for the business. Because there are people that will ask it, and then also
But you can
Use
say
the
it like, hey,
line.
I think of you first when I think of somebody to go clean a house or clean
Right.
property. Will you think of me first next time?
Yeah,
And not make it creepy, but just say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I always think of you and I always tell people to use you. Have you ever thought about returning the favor?
can everyone think of their best friend right now? Like everyone, okay, what does your best friend do? Go ahead and name out some of the things. Teacher?
Oh, profession. Okay.
Yeah, what do they do for a living?
HR.
HR, okay.
Parks Department.
Parks Department, oh, good one, like your friend. What's your best friend do?
Post office.
Post office, okay.
Runs Ethernet cables, so
Tech, kind of.
Like sets up security systems.
Oh, okay.
And like a router for like that computer, there's like wires that run through the wall so that computer can work. That's what it
Gotcha,
does.
gotcha. What's your best friend do?
Hygienist.
Okay. Sam?
Yeah, HR, and then she's a local actress as well.
Oh, celebrity.
I mean,
You're all connected over here.
I'm excited because she's doing this Shakespeare thing, which is supposed to be like a not your grandma's Shakespeare, so I'm excited.
Oh,
And-
risque.
Yeah, that's her
Awesome.
thing, but I'm actually meeting up with all of her people from, like, she hasn't done a show in a little over a year because the last show she did ended, and so I was super sad because I got really used to hanging out with all her theater people, and then so tomorrow, she just started this Shakespeare thing, starts at the end of the month, so I'm meeting up with her friends
Such a good
tomorrow.
network you're gonna get into.
And I'm like, yes. So tonight I'm putting the business cards on the magnets, so I can
Nice.
pass those out tomorrow.
So smart. That's awesome. Well, yeah, like your best friend, are they gonna tell them to go to any other real estate agent? Right? I would hope not.
Die.
God.
My cousin went to somebody else and we don't talk.
So your sphere just got like way bigger because they're your biggest fan. Like they're gonna share your information with everyone, but you have to remind them to share it with them. Like you have to ask them, hey, if you hear somebody talking about real estate, and you can talk frankly with your friends, right? Like, hey, you know, I'm in the business of referrals. I have to be able to get them to be able to move forward. Will you make sure that you always keep me in mind if you ever have anyone talking about real estate? So just keep that in mind that this grows as you start thinking about it differently. Use your best friends, your spouses, everyone. Thank you, by the way, for getting this, Corey.
You're definitely a mom.
Yeah.
I love it. Like,
That's my mom.
Actually, mom's the best thing in the whole world.
Favorite job.
So yeah, we obviously went over the more, oh, this got cut off. Oh no. You don't even get all the good stuff. What do I do? Okay, I'm gonna read the bottom ones because it's the ones that you didn't think of. So down here.
We actually have them too.
Oh, you have them? Okay, perfect. So from 9 to 15, those are the ones that I think people don't think about when they're thinking about their sphere of influence. So professional services, financial, legal services, personal services, home and auto services, other agents, and then your other real estate agent services. So transaction companies, you know, everything, inspections, appraisals, all that. Hi.
10 seconds,
Yeah.
real fast.
Always get
Loud,
nice.
Real loud, here we go, sorry.
Oh,
I'm also still in it, so be careful if you walk over here. All done,
Thank
you
you.
guys have a great class.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And then the other, which I think is the most important part, is other small businesses you utilize, your family utilizes, your friends utilize. Those are also your sphere of influence now. Like you guys need to be in front of them regularly, one, to support them as a business, but then two, so that they think of you when they're thinking about real estate. Especially knowing that Carrie's in this room, if they have a small business and they have a commercial question, who would you guys now have as a friend that you can say, hey, they have a question, they want to expand, where do they get started? You know, all of those things. Make sure you guys are utilizing those so that you can add to your sphere every single day. Because the goal is to take your numbers from 100 to 200 to thousands, because then your life gets way easier because business is just waiting for you in your database. Cool. So then we just got to categorize them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like, when I imported all my contacts, I always put like a house next to my agent friends or like a tooth next to my dental friends. Like
Oh, I
I
love
just know
that.
how to
That.
just keep
Super
track
smart.
of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I imported it and then I got to thinking, all my agent friends, like, and I had, there's a lot.
Mhm.
Do I leave them in my command or what?
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I didn't know
Yes.
if that was like overstepping boundaries or.
I think there's a
Where
tag
do you
for
think
that.
referrals are gonna come from?
Right. I just
But they're
didn't
local.
know. if
I
it-
also,
Yes.
I like it for like transaction management, because then
Got
I
it.
add the relationship that that's the person that's on the other side of business as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
100%.
It's not,
Yeah.
maybe you're not gonna pick that to do like your
Mhm.
smart plan, you're not gonna pick that tag,
Yeah,
but heck yeah, add it.
okay, okay.
Well, because they also leave the business,
Mhm.
and so
Good
they
point.
don't always
That's
stay in the
true.
business. And also on top of that, what a nice thing to do, maybe once a year, once a quarter, just send a thank you to all of them.
Yeah,
Hey, I just wanna thank you for being amazing.
that's okay.
They can,
Awesome.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
support each other, love
Yeah,
each other in
yes.
the industry.
Yeah.
For inspiration too, like
Yeah.
if you put them on a
Yes.
quarterly call plan, you can call them, be like, hey, I was looking at the numbers, I saw you were doing really well, or like. hey,
Absolutely.
what's
Be
working for
positive,
you,
yeah.
or-
I actually subscribe to other newsletters to get ideas about their stuff. So I'm in other people's databases because I actually like to see what they send out. Cause like you should get on Sarah Reynolds' email newsletter. Like she has a fantastic one that's always listing driven. So it's awesome. Like, and for somebody that like, I don't like creating content. I like to rip off content. So I'm like, find other people that you like their style of newsletters and then subscribe to them.
Yeah,
Find
well,
out.
like in commercial, if you're not on certain people's newsletter, you won't know what listings they actually even have, because they don't put them
Yes.
out there.
They don't
So-
publicize them.
They don't always have them on the Crixies and the LoopNets, and they definitely don't have them on MLS. So if you want to know what they have, you got to be on their newsletter. So
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, find a way to categorize them so you don't have to like spam them with all your stuff. You also don't want them in the way that like you're looking at your quarterly calls. You don't want them to come up as like, I have to call them, call your leads and contacts first. So I do love the idea though of calling them and like congratulating them if you ever see a sale. You're like, wow, that was a gorgeous listing that you had. Did you guys see Tanya Bauer's listing over in Southern Hills? It was her personal home that she just listed. It was the really cool mid-century one. Oh my gosh, you guys should look it up. Coolest house I've seen in Springfield in 7 years of real estate. So, but those are the kind of conversations that would be fun to have as an agent, right? Like not getting yelled at about something and just hearing about like, hey, I love that you're in that doing this as well.
Or to get my.
but you can also put them in there, because if you've ever had a bad relationship or a bad transaction with an agent,
It is good to have notes on them.
it's good to have notes on them.
Yeah.
Because I never thought that would actually be a thing, but it's a thing.
It is a thing.
And I always put notes.
Yeah. So if everyone can like quickly write down a couple names from your SOI that you're thinking of, that you should probably be reaching out to that maybe you haven't.
On
Let's
this
do
people
3 to
you know
5.
page,
Yeah. I don't know what page.
5.9.
5.9, thank you.
that we haven't been reaching out to.
Yeah, it is. If you reached out to them, that's actually better. So yeah, reach out to them in those categories that you're thinking. If you can think of everyone, and then let's brainstorm on them.
Like if they're looking for stuff or just names?
Just
random.
Yeah,
Oh, I
just
know.
names. So like in your professional services, anyone, yeah, like anyone that you're thinking of that you're like, wow, I didn't really think about them as my sphere of influence. Home and auto people, landscapers, got painters, personal trainers, babysitters. What?
Except flooring people.
Flooring people, yes. Good accountants, financial advisors,
Got one of those, let me know.
dog sitters. Trying to think, we use Fritz Nips. Ooh, hairstylist, yes. Especially for boys, you guys get your haircuts so often. So I feel like you guys should get business from them.
My wife always complains about how much it costs for her hair to get done.
Yeah.
It's like, if we compared tabs, I think it'd be pretty close.
Yes, we spend more money than one time so we go, so. And then, yeah, for real estate services, don't forget your photographer. You guys have appraisers, your lenders, your inspectors, and your repair people. Where your family goes, friends, your kids are at, who they spend time with, those kinds of things too. anyone's finished, if they want to tally them up and tell me how many extra names they found.
Oh man, I have so many. Like,
Really?
yeah, well, no, but yes.
I wrote 550 options on one line.
I love
Your
it.
neighbor, I wrote all of my neighbors.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah, I think people are so silly, like, they're like, I have no sphere of influence, and I'm like, how many houses are in your neighborhood right now? Like, just go talk to them. I walk by my houses every day, like, that's 100%. It's a great point, Christina. You get your nails done, massages, anything like that, housekeeper, car detailers. So as we're learning, like, we found more, right? So many more people than we think that we were considering what our sphere could be. We have more options to go through. Definitely utilize Carrie's line. If you're spending money with them, they should at least be sending you people. You know, they should at least be like, if somebody asks questions, and it's okay if they know a couple of agents, just ask them to share your business card as well. Like, I understand you've got a couple people in your pocket. Please make sure that you still have them reach out to me. Everyone should have options, right? Because we all have different personalities. We want to make sure that they actually have a good experience in real estate, because what happens is when people have bad experiences, they don't want to come back to real estate agents. So we want to be able to do that. Okay. So we all have quite a bit more, and then we want to do it every day. So how are you guys going to continue finding ways to build your SOI?
Think of it whenever you're actually making a introduction with somebody, like actually getting their contact information.
Right.
Something I don't, it's been something that's been popping in my mind after I'll communicate with somebody, and so that's what I've been trying to be proactive about.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know, do you shake hands? Are you a handshaker? Like,
Oh, yeah.
you might put something on your wrist that you handshake with. So then every time you're thinking, like, if it's like a little symbol or something, or if you could put it on your watch, and then that way you're like, oh wait, I have to make sure that I get your contact information. Do something as a trigger to remind yourself to grab information from them. And that way you always are thinking about it, because it's, one, it doesn't necessarily have to be your side of the business that benefits from it. What if their side of the benefits from it? Like, you can do it both ways. It doesn't have to just be yours. So, but you have to be asking for their contact information for you guys to remember and reach out to them, and then remember you, because they could have thought like, oh my gosh, you are amazing, but I had no way to reach you. So, you know, I just called Keller Williams and they accidentally sent me to the wrong Carrie, and then I never got hold of you. So making sure that you get that and get intentional about it, and then do what Carrie does, send either a text message or a card immediately afterwards and just say, hey, loved meeting you. It was so great to see you. I just want to
I
make sure.
stop at the same gas station
Mhm.
every single morning. All 6 of their morning employees know my name.
I love
And so
that.
I have a goal to know, like, get all of their contact information.
Yes.
Granted, it's just gas station employees, but
Still.
it's gas station employees
That's
that
what they
see me every day and know me.
Yeah, they might be
So-
in a rental, they might not be in a
Right.
rental. Guess where their family lives?
Oh.
What, that's another entire sphere that you just tapped into if you are their person that they like, oh, I love Carrie. She comes in all the
You can
time.
put a flyer up too.
Yes.
Well, they know a lot of people too. 'cause
I know.
They know everybody that comes in
They
and
know
out.
everybody who comes there every day, just like
Yes.
me.
That's a good
And
gas
every
station, by the way,
morning-
that actually shows your name.
Every morning, the Stanley Steamer people there's 7 Stanley Steamer trucks getting gas, or there's all the moving people, they're all there. So it's the same gas station on Plainview Road, and I'm like, people are moving, they're moving somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point.
And I hang out at the gas station every morning. when I'm out. That's what I just thought.
Don't judge anything, because it's like, you never know, like, there's people that would just hang out at vacant, like Ben Kenny built his business by hanging out at a vacant house, just waiting for people to drive by, and he's a real estate agent, and then when anybody would stop and look at it, he would like pop out and be like, hey, I just finished a showing, do you want to come in with me? Like, well, but they were like, oh yeah, I mean, I can immediately have service. He didn't have a database he was working with, that was the only thing he could do, and then he immediately met strangers that he never would have interacted with. So that's the thing, like, don't ever judge it. Like, if you can figure it out, that's fantastic.
I'm just being sarcastic.
I love it. No, I love it. I think it's a great place to start. So if we think back to yesterday, just take me through kind of what you were doing when you woke up this morning. Did you call your mom? Did you look at the news on your phone? What were you doing as you started your day yesterday? What do you do? Anything specific? Does anyone have a morning routine they want to share?
I do.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I run when I get back, shower, read my Bible, get into something work-related in media. So whether that's listening to a podcast, watching a quick YouTube video, then I will stage the texts and calls I have to do for lead gen in the morning block.
Love it. That's awesome. Great morning routine. More people should be like you.
I literally had to do it because I was being way too unproductive in the morning, so I have it blocked off by 15, 30-minute increments in the morning. Just
Do you run on a treadmill or are you outside?
I go around the neighborhood.
Okay, how many people do you run into?
Typically the same 4 people.
Yeah, do you know them?
I know 2 of them. I've met 2 of them, but it's typically both headphones in, running in opposite directions, and
Maybe you need to.
I don't know
turn around,
about
go
them,
run
but
with
I
me.
probably
guys, I'm coming back.
like
Oh, no, I get
run
it.
to be interrupted, but.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying interrupt them, because I run in the morning too, but I always run into the same people, and what I do is I wait until I'm walking and then I can introduce myself.
Mhm.
So it's just like, but making a conscious effort, like when you see them, or if you see them when they're finishing up their run and you're leaving or something, just being like, hey, how'd your run go today? By the way, I'm Clayton. Like, we like to do the same things, like we probably have more in common than we realize, so how can I introduce myself in it? What do you do in the morning?
So my morning kind of centers around my youngest child, but
Mhm.
we have alarms for everything. And I did that to keep me from nagging him, like, hey, it's time to get dressed. Hey, it's time to get your
Smart.
shoes on. Hey, it's time. They all have different ringtones. And when they go off, it just reminds us both, hey, here's where we're at in the morning. But I do the same thing. In between those, I will listen to a podcast. I'll
Smart.
read my Bible. I'll find something inspirational for the day. But everything based around his alarms, I also have alarms that keep me on track, and some of them are only 3 minutes in between 2 alarms, some of them are 15 minutes.
That's smart.
And so it's super purposeful time. And I just found that if without that, then I was that nagging mom. Hey, get your shoes on, get your shoes on, get your shoes on, get your shoes on. And instead he hears the alarm and it's like, it's time for me to get my shoes on. It's that Pavlov's
I
thing,
love
you know?
that. That's smart.
And then when it's time for us to go to school, that's a different alarm. And he knows, oh, mom, it's time for us to go. We gotta go to school. And so I just kind of have planned things I can do in those same
I love
time
that.
increments.
So when you drop off, do you kids go in the house or get in school, or do you just drop off at
I have
home?
to just drop.
Okay, do you know your cross guard?
I do.
Yeah.
I
He knows
do.
you?
He and yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
and most of the teachers and.
Awesome. Like, that's the thing, like, just making sure that you're aware of those people and you're like, hey, I see you every single day. I won't go to your gas station every single day. I want to make sure I'm interacting with you. So just making sure you grab that contact information. You guys now are aware of it. Now we've activated the RAS, right? The reticular activating system. Now you guys need to start thinking about everything that you're doing regularly and who you need to create a way of capturing their contact information to put them into your database. So how I'm gonna have this natural interaction to get your contact details so that then we can reach out, talk, become friends, and hopefully then do business together, whether I'm doing business.
Well,
with
I
you
did
or
the
this
dot
is
card
other.
and then I just have it hidden underneath my phone case, but it's easier for me to give somebody my information that way. I will send my contact just via text. Most of the time I do that so that I get their phone number.
Mhm.
But if I'm just in a hurry, I'll say, hey, just put your phone right here and you'll have my contact. But a lot of times, especially people are probably like, why didn't you do that with me? Because in here, I've been like, okay, just you can text my contact information to
absolutely.
yourself. That's just for me to get their information back.
Yeah.
So both ways, it kind of depends on where I'm at, but if you don't have one, I mean, literally, it's just this little black dot on the back of my phone, and it links to a web page that has everything, my email, socials, et cetera on
I
it.
love that. Yeah, no, that's
Versus
great.
my contact card doesn't quite have, I probably should put all that in there, but on my Apple contact card doesn't quite have all that, but the little dot does.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, that's the easiest way, like technology wise, if you can. But the way that I do it is if somebody does ask you for a business card, just be like, oh, shoot, I gave out my last one. Can I have your phone number? Because you want their contact details at the end of the day. So I agree, like 100% if you're like on the run, you're like, hey, just grab this really quick and then call me. So I have your number and give them directions. People forget how to do things. And so you're like, I'm not gonna be able to reach you if you never give me your
So a lot
contact
of times
number.
I just pull up and share my own contact and say, hey, just put your phone number in and and it'll send to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then grab their phone number and then like worst case scenario, if you don't have all their contact information, it's okay. Then we do what Aaron and Sam were talking about, where like, we just need to fill in the gaps of the contact details where you reach out and ask, hey, what's your birthday? I want to send you birthday cards. I love, or I don't know, if you do something silly, like if there's something personalized you guys can send them something else. Like some people, I got Valentine's Day cards. I never get Valentine's Day cards from like a family and it was their family photo. I thought that was so cute. So if you can be a little bit different, be a little bit different on that. But yeah, the main thing is just be aware now that as you guys are doing it, when you interact with people that you're not recognizing should be your SOI, people that probably see you every day, see you running every day, probably think you're pretty disciplined, would probably respect you a lot for what you do. That's what you want in your business. Cool. Now that we've identified those inner activities, you're never, ever just running errands, right? Like we're almost always building our SOI. Just make sure that you guys are aware of it and grab that contact information. Okay, any ahas that you guys have? Oh yeah, change the way you look at things. That's obviously what we've been doing, right? Changing who we're thinking of that shouldn't be our SOI into being our SOI. So Bold Law. Has anyone taken Bold? Ever? Did you love it?
I did.
Who taught it when you did it? Remember?
I don't remember his name.
Okay, was he energetic? They're all very energetic.
Yeah,
So-
he was an older guy.
I would recommend, the reason that Bold is helpful, which maybe you can share, is just that it does create the habits of lead generation in a different format. You're structured day to day, like you have to reach out to a certain amount of people every week, and then you turn it in, and it's a competition. We all like competing with each other. I know we do. So that's the nice thing about Bold. Did you have a good experience when you went? Did you sell any more houses?
Well, I had only been in real estate. I'm not even in a year yet.
Welcome.
Yeah. So when I went, I was in just for a couple months.
Oh,
I've only
nice.
been doing it for a couple months. So it was last fall that I
Okay,
did
nice.
it. And so it was just, there was so much
There's a lot of
to learn.
information.
Yeah. So I was just taking it all in. And then we got up in little teams, being in little teams.
Mhm.
We were all separated into teams. That really helped out a lot.
Oh yeah,
Help
it's
each
nice to
other
get to know people
accountable.
in your market center too,
Yes.
so absolutely. Well, and one of the things that they teach you to do is obviously like they teach you the material of what to say, so like for scripting and everything like that, if you're ever like, I don't know what to say, they give you
Yeah.
basics of it. But the main thing is doing it, right? Like that's why they have you break down, they want you to role play,
Yeah.
so that's our goal, is just to get you guys comfortable with it. Does anyone have any ahas after we kind of went through where else you can find SOI? Thinking about people differently yet?
I like the idea of not just giving somebody a business card, because
Yeah.
you're never gonna
Yeah.
hear from that person.
We're weird.
Throw it in the trash immediately.
Yeah, or like, I mean, I now have slimmed my wallet down because it just became a stack of like crap, like there's, and those business cards just sitting there and rot.
Right.
So,
Which is why the electronic one's awesome, and you want their contact information to send it to. So that's the best thing about it.
There are also apps where you can scan other people's business cards. It converts all the way into your contacts, which is super nice. I mean,
Super
I don't
cool.
know if Command has a way to do that, but if you get it into your phone, then you can.
I just
sync it.
downloaded the proof of my, like when I ordered my business card. I just-
Oh, that's awesome. And use that as your
And then so
digital one.
like after I actually get a hold of a Sub-Zero lead, you know, like then after we actually had a conversation, then I'm like, hey, thanks for chatting with me. By the
Here's my
way, here's my
contact
business card.
Good.
But it's not clickable. You know, like you can't click on my phone number, you can't click on, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think she has a good point because it pulls up to her website, and usually there's a lead capture on that too, in some form. So I would get to it that you
Now, on
can.
the, when you do the link,
Mhm.
download your.
Is it on KW?
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, like the main thing is grab their phone number. The phone number is the most important thing. You guys are familiar with True People Search, right? You guys utilize that site. You can reverse phone search. So, I mean, worst case scenario, if like I'm the worst, sometimes I hear people's name and I'm like, what did you say? And so I will double check online and try to find them. And then that way I can fill in even more details. Their emails sometimes are on there. Like you can fill in the gaps on people, but it is better to have a conversation about it. Like, hey, I do want to grab your home address and everything like that as well. Do you have pulled
So
up?
it's just the
The QR code?
It's not like your actual business card.
But if somebody scans that, it gives
Here, let
them
me-
all of your information.
Let's test it for you.
Should open up your contacts.
So that's what it'll send them. Is that kind of what you're wanting?
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it literally autofills a contact card in your phone.
yeah.
You should put your photo in there. Do your business card as your picture, but no, it's great. Now I have your contact. How do I do that?
I've done that a few times.
Actually, don't know.
Which is
There's
There's what I need to sit down with Nicole
tech
about.
specialist upstairs, I think her name's Nicole, yeah, he's utilize her.
Yeah, I need to do that.
The nice thing about Nicole is she's so sinking smart about this stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Utilize her. That's why we have these resources. So now that we've expanded them, so obviously add more personal information. Does anyone not like talking about themselves? Have you guys ever interacted with someone? Okay, Sam, you don't like talking first.
Well, for
I get
so
that.
long, I did like employee recognition and I was talking of all the other agents in the office, not myself. So I do find it very hard to talk about myself because I'm usually, I've just been trained to talk about other.
That's fair. And it's sometimes easier if we like displace it a little bit, but like, so you have kids, right? I mean, that's part of your life. So it's easier for you to talk about your kids, like talk about your kids. But in the same regards, like there are people that are a little bit uncomfortable. They don't want to share all their personal information. But most people like telling you about their hopes and dreams and like what they do on the weekend. The easiest question, guess what it is when you're lead generating? How was your weekend?
Or what are you doing this
What did you,
weekend?
or what did you do? What are you doing this weekend, right? Like it comes every 5 days or yeah, so we're always in one. You might as well ask about it. Like, do you have any big plans? Are you going to the lake? I'm going to the lake. Do you want to hang out? Like things like that. So just make sure that you guys are adding in personal information and those are the notes, right? Like let's write them down so then you actually have them to reference in the future, the quarterly calls that you do that you can say, hey, by the way, this is what we're doing. Why do you guys want to gather the personal information? What's important about it?
So you can follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of personal information do you think we want?
Phone number, address. Something about them.
Okay, I love that. So some of their recommendations, birthdays, because that's easy, right? Favorite color, where are they from? Family status, you know, are they single, married, children, etc. That really affects them. So family status is probably one of the most important pieces of information you can find if you're thinking you want to transact with them in real estate. Because if you think about it, their growth of their family, their downsizing of their family is everything that's going to affect their size of their household. Hobbies, yep. Kids' birthdays, dog birthdays, anniversaries, good. Yeah, I mean, it's so nice. If you sent them a card about happy anniversary for their wedding, how special would they feel? Yeah, and then send them a card. So main thing is just ask them questions. Like, I think everyone gets so nervous, like, how do I find out this information? And it's like, just ask. I mean, if people don't want to interact with you, they won't. And that might tell you something a little bit about yourself of like, when I interacted with them, was I coming across genuine? Or was I doing something a little bit weird? You know, if you don't get a response. And I will say instant messenger, if you're reaching out to cold people, it's gonna take some time for them to warm back up if you haven't talked to them since middle school. So give them time to realize that you're being a genuine person and just asking about them. But yeah, direct message them, utilize social media, call other people's friends, like call your friend's mom, like things like that to get them engaged. They need to know that you're in real estate. And then obviously we want to strengthen the casual connections that you guys have. So as you guys start looking at these differently, just making sure that you are being engaged. Don't be on your phone when you're at activities or events, like stay away from it. Be engaged, make eye contact with people. It makes people uncomfortable and then they come talk to you because they're like, something wrong. Make sure that you are talking to the people that you're around regularly. That way you guys can get their contact information more naturally.
That's like the number one thing I'm working on right now, is strengthening casual connections.
Yeah.
Cause it's like,
It's awkward. It's awkward
Yeah.
at first.
I mean,
So,
like, I just moved back here after being away for like 6 years, so it's
oh
like
yeah,
everything's casual.
right.
So,
You gotta get back integrated with their life. So, but it's not like they don't want it. Like everyone is craving connection right now. Just so you guys know, like anytime you're interacting with people, that's why those text messages will hit so deeply because you're like, wow, I didn't think anyone was thinking about me today. That's super helpful that you guys actually were thinking about me. If you pop by their work and say, hey, I was literally around the corner from you. I was just thinking about you. Do you want a coffee? Like, how can I like make your day better? Just be a genuine person and it'll start to create that casual connection better. And then obviously if you can send them business in any way, like if you can help other people build wealth, you guys will also build wealth. So if you can send them business, do it. Awesome. I think we kind of touched on this, but like how we can grow it. Did anyone have any thoughts about things that they could join after this class that would help increase their SOI? I mentioned book club.
I like the chamber one. I think
Chamber of
I'm gonna
Commerce,
put that
yes.
word, Chamber.
I think joining a gym,
Joining the gym? Yeah, absolutely.
because I work out, but I'm not at a gym.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well, they're like-minded people, right?
Right.
So like if it's something you're already doing, you're gonna naturally click with someone there. So absolutely, join activities that you're doing, support local businesses. That way you guys can get involved in them. But yeah, join groups. If you guys don't do a community service thing, guess what that would be great content for? Your newsletter, like do a community service outreach. If you're not doing Red Day, do Red Day. But then also, can you do something else that you care passionately about? I love dogs. I want to help all the puppies in the world. So join things that will like make you feel happy and whole, and it will help you guys find more people as well. And then wear your guys' KW wear, like as much as possible. It automatically allows you guys to have natural conversations about real estate if you're wearing your KW colors. Whether you're wearing hats, you know, name tags, whatever. I think the name tag's kind of silly, but you know, if you like it, wear it. So.
Well, no, they told us in the coaching group, somebody said to wear their name tag upside down, so it gets somebody to engage with you.
So what my dad would do.
That's why I haven't done it yet.
But I used to, there are people who do that and they'll say, oh, I do that so I can remember who I am. I'm like, I can't read
Yes,
it.
I love
It
it.
really is the most clever thing, but that's where my mind goes, is people will think I.
If I saw somebody with their name tag on upside down, I would be like, they did not look at themselves in that.
I think that's awesome. And also humor breaks every connection, right? Like that's such a great thing. So if you're ever worried about it, like make them laugh or compliment to connect people, right? Like say something nice about them. They're always going to want to engage with you. But good point, like just wear something that's KW related or have a KW folder with you. Like if people are interested about real estate and they hear a word real estate, they're going to ask you a question. So just be ready to go. And my goal would be that you guys never actually start talking about real estate. You ask them questions about themselves, right? Like instead of turning it into a, let me tell you all the things I never get to say to any of my clients and word vomit all over you, you're going to ask them, why are you looking at real estate? You know, why did you ask me about it? So make sure you always turn the conversation. Cool. So does anyone want to read this for me? Thank you.
I'm building my business on people and on people I know and the people they know. Do you know anyone from family or friends, work, your neighborhood, or a group that you belong to who's thinking of buying, selling a home, or investing in real estate? I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. If you hear of somebody with a real estate need, will you keep me in mind and let me know right away?
Absolutely. We never teach people how to send us referrals. It's one of our weakest games in real estate. You have to teach them how to send it to you so that you get their contact information. So
that's why I said, ask all the people you're referring people to, hey, this is my 10th referral to you. You know, will you think of me next time?
yes, absolutely. And your friends and family, when you hear somebody talking about real estate, please grab their name and number for me and let me know where they live so I can get them some information on the market. Make sure you guys teach them how to send it to you. Otherwise they won't know how to do it. So, and this is the kind of the scripts that you guys can utilize in it. Corey, did that sink at all? Does that make you feel better about saying stuff like that to your people?
Yeah.
Okay.
It really does.
Because I think the main thing is we want to do people with business we like, just like everyone wants to do people with business they like. So just think about it that way. All right. Any more ahas? They ask a lot of you guys.
I mean, what I think it is that we have so many interactions per day and we're not utilizing them to our best, benefit.
We just
I
don't
mean,
think about
we're
it that way.
crossing paths with thousands of people in a day and it's really just so untapped because we're just not saying, hey.
Yeah, everyone lives somewhere. And if they don't live somewhere, which they all do, they have other people that live somewhere. So just being that person that they want to send people to, and just being aware of it. So the next part about this is just making sure that we track our system. And I'm sorry, I know that I'm taking probably more time than most of them are.
No, you're
No,
doing great.
But the thing about lead generation is, and this is as you guys get bigger, which Carrie, you've been in it for a while, so you can probably speak to this. But the tracking is really important because it does tell you guys how much time you should be spending doing what you need to do. So tracking your lead sources, you guys have got to name things better sooner. So I have found over time, like it's easy with Zillow, right? Or like a PPC lead, you know exactly where that came from. But you have to understand where the lead actually came from. Did it come from a referral from somebody in the soccer group? Or was it a team
What's
member that
the
you knew?
Best way to track that.
So tags is, I mean, so you should put it in the source category, like always in the source. But what I think I mean by that is like, as you're looking at your list of what you consider your SOI, start naming these as actual source titles. Because you need to make sure that then, if you got 10 referrals from the ball field, guess where you should probably sponsor? The ball field. So you need to know that that's where it came from because that's where you want to invest back into. So same with all this other stuff. So you're like, oh yeah, I met them at the lake. I should probably go to the lake more often. And then I also maybe will get a boat out there or get some kind of a billboard or something. That's the stuff that you want to know. So then you guys can go back into them.
The 20% of your 20%.
Yes, absolutely. Most important thing. And it's hard because you grow so quickly sometimes in real estate and you don't track it correctly. And then you're like, I actually don't know what category I should put this in. Was it sphere? Was it referral? Was it, what should I have done on that? So you want to make sure it's super clear at the beginning. And then auditing your lead source will make sure that that tracking actually helps you guys. And then you guys can put the money back where it needs to be. And then obviously diversify. If you're super heavy in one section of it, you spend so much time at the ball field that the church really isn't getting any attention. One, can we do a time audit? Is there a way that you can spend a little bit more time at church with your people? That's the thing that you guys can do. And it's okay. Sometimes we have seasons where we're heavier into something, but just being aware of it and then being like, well, when it's off season, can I spend more time with my church people? Can I do more things in there? And then just being consistent about it. That's why I'm saying date your damn database, get in there every single day, no matter what, even if it's just to like, check if anyone looked at new houses today. Like just look at it. Okay. So now we're gonna time block. So you have a pretty consistent one, Clayton, every morning. And when you're doing that podcast, is that podcast to like set you in the right headspace? Is that kind of what you do?
So it'll either be, right now I have it down to either contract study or investment study.
Okay, nice.
One of the two.
Smart. That's awesome.
But yeah, just the mindset.
Absolutely. So I also was gonna say earlier when you mentioned it, because you mentioned a podcast as well. If you're listening to something, do you think that somebody else in your sphere of influence could then enjoy what you're listening to? Like utilize that time to send it back out to other people because like you're already sharing into the knowledge, like let other people know it. So
That's good stuff.
but yeah, so utilize that. The main thing is also then practicing. I used to drive to work and say my script in the mirror the entire way because it's your tongue is a muscle, just like everything else in your body. The more often you say what you're going to say on the phone, the easier it is to say it. So you've got to practice it regularly. If you've got a role play partner, do it. If you don't, at least say it yourself. Like you have to say it yourself. And honestly, if you say it in front of a mirror, it's kind of awkward, but it helps you keep your smile up and then like making sure that you're presenting well. Do you have
I was
one?
gonna say, I call my team lead on the way to work every single day.
Smart.
And that's what we do, is we just go through scripts. Because I can't look at a script because I'm driving, so I have to
100%.
To be engaged in the conversation while I'm driving, and it's like, it was the worst thing ever. Like, I was so bad at it, but within the week of starting to do that, I generated like my first lead via like Facebook conversion.
Nice.
So it was just like, it made my thinking in a phone call, and he would throw all kinds of stuff at me, but it made my thinking in a phone
You
call
have to
like
improv.
a
So
million times.
that's awesome. That's the thing that I think people don't think, because like when you stall or freeze or whatever, and it sounds like you're probably not, but like if you ever do hit the stall, it's all improv, right? And that's where we have to either drop to filler and like fill in the questions that we're like, okay, I need to think about what you just said. Or it's, hey, I actually don't know that question about commercial. You just asked me. I need to ask somebody that would know for sure. I'll get back to you. When can I call you back? Like just making sure you know what to do, but it is improv and practice it every single day. And I mean it every day. Like I'm not talking about taking weekends off. Like you have to practice this every day, even if it's by yourself. But the nice thing about calling somebody is it's the exact same thing that you're gonna be doing with leads. So making sure that you actually call. And then the preparation, the call list. So if you guys aren't gonna be calling on the weekend, which you said Saturday actually wasn't bad, right?
Yeah.
When you did it. Weekends are not a bad time to call. There's not as many people on the phone. All the people that are salaried and ISAs in the office, I know aren't calling on the weekend. So if you guys are calling, you have less competition on the phones.
Especially like the local ones, if you're getting 417 numbers on any Facebook leads or campaigns or whatever, like to let them know about upcoming
Yeah, but
like
also
open houses going on.
working professionals are off on the weekend.
Yes.
You're not gonna get them Monday through
No.
Friday.
And
8 to
not
5.
in between 8 to 5, yep.
Yeah.
So you gotta call who you're trying to call, when they're gonna be available to take the call.
100%.
Or you're not utilizing your time wisely either.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the call list. So we talked a little bit about capturing. We want accurate info, guys. Like at the end of the day, like that's why we want the right phone numbers. Doesn't make sense to call the wrong phone numbers 10 times. So make sure that you guys are prepping those call lists. Do it when you're not feeling like talking to people. So like, as long as you guys are working towards lead generation, it's fine. Don't beat yourself up if you're like, I'm just going to make a list of 100 numbers that I know are correct. That is still lead generation. So it'll actually speed up the other time, but just don't let yourself not follow through and call them. You just spend all that time investing in it, trying to get it in there. So you want to make sure you're actually using them. Then take action. Like this is what we've got to do, right? Like you actually have to get on the playing field to play. So make sure that you guys are calling, interacting with them. If you ever need a pep talk, call me because I will 100% make sure that you guys feel ready to go on the phone. But at the end of the day, like the conversations where all the business is, you're never going to get business just because, well, okay, sometimes they call you, but more often than not, you're going to have to reach out first to get that business. And then obviously we want to maintain the database and do our follow-up, which makes our life easier as a whole. So, anyone read the one thing yet? The one thing in here? Yeah, did you like it?
I did, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I made you guys these little flyers. You can utilize them if you need them. But on a couple of the people that I coach, the main thing is bunkering, right? So make sure that you guys are aware of the distractions that come around. Do you lead gen at home or do you lead gen in the office?
It depends.
Okay.
Depends on the morning. 90% of the time in the office.
Okay.
But I do it better at home.
Yeah, so the main thing is like distractions, right? You can get so much done in an hour if you are completely zoned in on doing lead generation. And if all is what you can do is just 1 hour, just be bunkered down, shut every door that you can, no distractions, turn off your email, put your phone on do not disturb besides callbacks. And then that way you guys can actually do it. The main thing is making sure that you build that bunker. So you have to let people know that you're building your business and that they need to respect those time blocks. So make sure that you guys do that. Have snacks, get drinks, sweet for minds, as in like, let the people know that interact with you the most. I have a person that constantly interrupts me. Guess what? Why you guys are here, right? Like we want to make sure that we actually have a group of people that are holding us accountable. And if you can, do it together because then the energy helps you guys thrive in it. So just making sure that you guys kind of think about that. Does anyone have any concerns about creating a bunker and like who's going to interrupt them or fires and things like that? What's the biggest fear about like going into a time block? None?
What is it?
Oh yeah, what's your biggest fear about going into a time block for it?
Yesterday, was it Brad? Is that his name? Brian.
Brian.
Anyways, he talked about before he goes into his time block, he blocks a time to sweep. And basically he goes through everything that's on his mind that was on his to-do list.
Oh, good.
And like whether it's to-do lists, honeydews or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and he delegates what he can so that when he's in his time block, he's not distracted.
Smart.
He's like, because if I know I have to call Walmart to get my car in for an oil change, I'm gonna feel the need to do that during my time block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so good.
It's so good. So one of the things I think about doing is like, I like to prep, if you can, prep your day before you actually get into it. So nightly routines, super helpful if you can write them down ahead of time. And the reason would be so that you could sweep for things, do a brain dump at night, everything you have to get done tomorrow. What's all on the things.
It's getting
you have
that
to do
discipline in and that habit of doing that. Because even last night I was like, man, I got up this morning, I'm like, why did I not tell myself to do this today? It'd have been so much easier.
Well, that's why 66-day habits happen. So if you ever want to do a challenge, they're doing one right now. But it's one of the things that you should do is like just thinking about like, how can I set my day up better? It's if I think about it the day before. So, and then, yeah, sweep for the minds and then set yourself up for success that you can actually stay in that time block. But yeah, I mean, as long as you guys do it, that's fantastic. I think the main thing is building the discipline of the habit.
Yeah.
And Corey, you're all in on this.
I have no option.
We are doing
I'm
this.
sinking or I'm swimming. Sister, I'm swimming.
Well,
I'm
and
swimming.
I love that you're here and you have people. So you just gotta like find your people to help you stay accountable to it and then like make sure that you stay within your stuff. So all of you guys will hopefully have that as well. So now we're gonna say, you know, what our call to action is. So how's everyone's mindset? How do you guys feel about lead generation?
I think the more you do it each time in the class, even making you do it every day,
Mhm.
you almost you do have to have 2 hours. If you just do
Yeah.
2 hours a day. And it may not even take 2 hours,
Yeah.
but just block that time
100%.
to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. How long does it take you to call somebody on average, you guys, like roughly?
Depends on who you're calling.
I was gonna say,
5 to 20 minutes.
5 to 20 minutes?
Before making a call.
Okay. Did you guys get to attend James Shaw when he was here the other day? What did he say was the average time to get to a motivation in a
is it
conversation?
3 minutes?
3 minutes. What did he say was the average time to book an appointment?
6.
6.
No, that was
No.
7.
It was.
It was 12. I'm like, close, so close. Some people maybe it's 6. But yeah, so 12 minutes, right? So if I'm thinking I've got 2 hours, let's say they were all zingers and I got them. How many appointments could I set in 120 minutes? 10, right? It'd be amazing. Oh my gosh, it'd be like the best 2 hours of my life. That would be awesome. So, but if you could go into it with that mindset every day of like, everything could turn into gold. And the thing is, I think people think so short-term in real estate. It doesn't matter if this call doesn't turn into a business today. It matters about it long-term that you reached out and that they'd come back to you. So you want to make sure that you're an amazing human that they want to come back to.
Probably my most favorite thing about becoming a real estate agent is to be able to be people-minded. And it doesn't matter, the transaction doesn't matter, I can care less.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to be people, to
Yeah.
interact with people and to love on them is the coolest thing.
It's the coolest thing. We get to talk to them about some of the fun, like most fun sales thing that you could ever do.
Yeah.
So, as we're gonna kind of get into that. Are you guys answering these questions? How's your thinking changed today? What ideas or mindsets are new? You guys have anything new?
I need to, I don't know why I've never thought of this, but I should probably have my sister do role play with me because she's
Yes.
an improv actress and knows nothing
Yes.
about real estate, so.
I love talking to non-real estate people and scripting with them. And then, you know what I say? I'm like, hey, I'm practicing my scripts right now. Can I talk you through it? Guess what then they're thinking about too? Do they know what I do for a living? Yep. Makes my conversation a little bit easier if I think that they're moving like, hey, you just had a child. You know, by the way, are you guys thinking about getting another bedroom, like, or thinking about anything like that? So, what do you feel differently about today or what was meaningful about it?
I like the 8 connections before you ever ask for any.
Yes, 8 value
And
adds.
being more intentional, and maybe that's what it is, the ball field, that I make 8 connections, not just the ball field, but on social media or to just reach out to them and
Yes.
say nothing, because really, I don't care about the real estate, but to care about them
Yes,
is way better.
yes,
I
absolutely.
like that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Like if you can start like thinking of this differently and just like have fun with life and like enjoy your outside of just lead genning and then think of it differently. Absolutely. How are your behaviors going to change or what actions will you take from this? Be more intentional. Great.
Be more intentional about casual interactions.
Yes. Be more intentional about them. They're a full human, right? Like they are well-rounded in every aspect of their life. If we get to know them, 1, you might have a great connection. 2, they might send you business. 3, you might send them business. There's so many ways that you can do it. And then what tools, models, or systems can you use that will help you hold you accountable?
Time blocking.
Time block, yeah.
Use command for those
Thank
notes.
you.
Yes, yes. I
Taking
love
time.
the voice to notes. If you guys need it, like use the voice to notes afterwards, as long as you're getting the information somewhere, like make sure you're doing that. So yeah, absolutely. Use those tools. And then how are you going to be held accountable or how will these
You need to track it.
track it?
You need to use all the stuff, all the things that you have at your fingertips to track.
Yeah. If you
Get
don't,
somebody to track the goals with you too.
yeah, make it
Hold you
bigger.
That's
Yeah.
good.
involve other people. Like, let them know, like, hey, I am in a real estate competition, you know, that's what I'm doing. But also, I want to help 10 families this year. I want to help this many families this year. How am I going to get there if I don't talk to more people? I just want to talk to more people. That's all I need
Or
to
even
do.
one of the classes, they said, instead of calling them transactions, like I want so many transactions,
Oh, I hate it.
like you just said, yeah, I want to help 25 families this year.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. I hate that side so much where I'm like, it is not a transaction. It's a freaking family. Like
It's a
it's
human.
It's a human. Like it's a person here. Like we want to make sure that we're actually helping them like get into their future life, into another chapter that they're so happy about. So, absolutely. Well, that's awesome.
I have to leave, but not because I don't, I want to, but I have kids at ball games.
Thanks for coming.
And I
It was so
love
good to
you.
meet you.
We'll chit chat about
Yeah.
more stuff.
Yeah, if you need anything, Corey, you just let me know. You're gonna crush it. So
Thank you.
proud of you for being here. I hope the kids do well
I
today.
know, I'm
So
loving
you
it,
can't
like
crush it.
everything about it, like it's just, my heartbeat. Thank you very much.
Thank
rock.
you.
I
You're
see you
rocking.
Monday. See you Monday.
So now we're gonna jump into the success systems. So is this similar every single day? Do you guys?
It is the same.
Ah, so you guys are already familiar with it. What's your guys' least favorite part?
Mine's the DMs on social media.
Okay, why?
Just because by the time I'm getting to this, it's super late at night and I'm just like.
Oh, yeah, you're like, hey, you up?
Hey, it's
That's our DM, hey, you up?
It's 12:30 in the morning. Can I get your address? No, I'm just teasing. I don't do that. But I will tell you, I have had to like roll that till the next day because I'm like.
That's fair. That's totally
I'm
fair.
not DMing people
I get
at
that.
midnight. Oh.
That's-
Mine was,
Hey, you wanna talk? It's 12:30 in the morning.
With automation and the
You know, but
systems,
there's some
we've
people
always
though
thought it
that
would be
work
funny
during
to like
the
send a
day.
2:30
My
AM
spirit
text and
is
be like, hey, you up? And like, we're never gonna do it, but I'm like, God, that was so funny. if we
Oh my
did.
they would even let you do that for CRM.
Probably not.
I didn't think it would let you do it outside of business hours.
Yeah, they're probably pretty like tricky on those rules, so.
That would be so.
Now,
freaking
I've texted clients and then they respond at 12:30 in the morning and
They're
I'm like,
not as respectful for time.
No.
So,
Well, I do have a group
But they
of
do it
friends
on
that we're all
Yeah.
up at that time, so sometimes we have our most meaningful interactions after 12 o'clock at night.
okay.
So I'm not gonna
It just gets
say.
really deep at that
I'm
point.
not gonna say
Sad boy.
I'm not gonna say that I don't say, hey, you up, because, but those are usually like my best girlfriends.
Oh,
Everyone
I love
else, I'd be like, no, I'm not gonna do it until 30 in the morning.
Also on the DMs, if you guys are needing other things, like join local groups that are similar to what you're doing. I like to hike, so there's like an Ozark hiking group, stuff like that. So think about that too, like if you ever need to expand it on social media. But since you guys are familiar with it, who's had 10 conversations since we're so late in the day already?
Oh, I have
Carrie, you
definitely
have,
today.
Christina, how are you doing? Did you call yet? Or you knew you were gonna call here, so you were like, I'm fine.
I have had, well, I've been talking to people about the buyer seminar that we're doing on Tuesday.
I love that.
Yeah, so
Good.
I've actually finally had a couple that have answered me today
Oh, good.
and that I sent messages out yesterday
And
and
smart.
yeah, and most of them I've already called. I've just been trying to follow up
Yeah.
to get a yes or no answer if they're gonna be there.
Yeah, you know, what would be another thing that you could ask them too, and just being like, hey, I've got a few seats still open. Do you know anyone else that could come?
Oh, yeah.
I'd love for you to have any other friends and family there, because like this is something that I care passionately about to make sure people have homes. So
Yeah.
if it's something I can help any of your friends or family, please bring them. That's
I'll
awesome.
do that too. Yeah.
So our daily tracker does include the 10 conversations with Sphere. Have you guys had a chance to call yet? Anyone today?
Oh, conversations? Yeah.
Or conversations, yeah, texting, you know,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, more.
I feel like that's my whole day.
Just talking to people.
Yeah.
I know, so I have to unplug and like go away. Sam, did you get a chance to?
I mean, I don't track it like I should, and I need to, but I feel like every conversation I have leads to real estate somehow. I don't know. But
That's the
I
nice thing
really
about it.
want to focus on getting the Facebook leads over to my actual contacts and then getting them into my command. So that's like my main point of focus this weekend. And then like tomorrow, obviously being at this, a huge event with new people.
Yeah. You're gonna interact with all of them.
Yeah, I think my biggest hang up with it is that, I will, pass out my business card, but retaining the information. So I think I'm gonna set up, did you say Apple Card? I can set up
It's
a
called
business.
Dot Card, but you can do it via different things, but you shared QR code from Command. Did it not work when you did that?
It did.
Yeah.
It did, but I would collect it as well. So give it to
Yeah.
them, but then just be like, if you can't text me
I
right
like
now.
that.
But I also
Hand their
use,
phone.
I have,
Yeah,
I
like
have,
their phone.
yeah,
Okay.
so set yourself up as a contact in your phone. That's how you have to do it. Add everything you want to share there. And then when you go to share it, it'll even confirm, do you want to share your birthday? You can uncheck it if you don't. Do you want to share your anniversary? You can uncheck it. So you don't have to give everybody everything. You put in your own contact card. I'll show you.
Okay.
Before you leave, just come over and I'll show you what I do.
Is this just
And,
an
uh,
Apple thing?
It's, yeah. What do you have? Android?
Something that
It probably works
I
the same
haven't
way.
gotten around to yet.
Set yourself
is
as a
if you ever
contact
use
and then
Canva,
we'll see if
you
it
can
works the same.
create like a screensaver for your phone, and then you just literally turn your phone on and show it to them, and they can scan literally like.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Your home
it's
page.
okay to scan, but you can't get their phone
That's
number.
work off that.
You can't get their phone
Yeah.
number. So what I do is I just pull up my contact card, hit share contact, and then I say, hey, just enter your number. It'll email it to you, or it'll text it to you now. So then at least I have their phone number. And then the minute they do that, I go and put their name with their phone
Yeah.
number.
I like that idea, like save it yourself as a contact and text. It's 100%
It's good.
awesome.
We're gonna be at a place where I'm not gonna be able to, take people's information right down.
No, but
or-
if they,
Yeah.
but you can just
So,
say, hey, put
yeah.
your phone number and then it'll send my contact information to you so you have it. Then you can just save it.
Yeah, it's.
And if they don't know how, you do it for them.
Do you want to role play it right now? So.
Yeah.
Hey. So how do you know the people here at this event?
My sister's in theater, so.
Oh, really? Are you an actor or an actress?
No, I've just been watching her all of my life.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's really great. Well, I'm so happy that you came in and I'm glad that we got to see you.
Yeah. What do you do?
Oh, I just do some of the like concessions. I just kind of help out around here.
Oh, so you're just helping. me
Yeah,
too.
just kind of
Yeah.
helping.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was so nice to meet you.
Yeah. What do I do
It's good to meet you. Maybe we can stay in contact.
Yeah, absolutely. We're probably gonna see each other at a couple of these events, correct?
Yeah,
Absolutely. So, and you probably know, my sister, somebody here.
yeah.
right? That's awesome. Well, I'd love to get
I
your
hate the
name and-
word yeah. So that is the one thing I would tell people is that don't say yeah. Yeah sounds like you don't really care what they're saying. Because how many times have you gotten a message back? Yeah. Yeah. I try not to use the word yeah.
It's a good
And maybe
point.
that's just a professional thing, especially if you're thinking about maybe dipping into commercial. Yeah, no problem. All of those are not very good things to say. If you can get those out of your vocabulary, I would encourage you to do so. But instead you could say, you know what? I'm probably gonna be here like 10 more times because she has 10 shows. Want to stay in touch? Does that
Can I
make
grab your
sense?
number?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I love that. It's a good point. Interesting enough to do the language pattern to encourage people to say yes. So that's why I do it. It depends on who you're talking to though. Absolutely. So casual interactions, make sure that it feels genuine and organic. But the main thing is just don't feel uncomfortable doing it, right? What's the worst thing they're gonna do? They're gonna have to slap you for asking for their contact information. Just be like, hey, can I grab your number in case we get to see each other again?
Or say, you know what, I'm working on just building my circle of friends or my circle
Yeah.
of people I know, and you know what, I've made a point to just talk to one person a day. Do you mind if
Love
I
it.
share my information with you and vice versa?
Yeah. Or
Like, you don't have to make it super creepy.
And I love your outfit. Where'd you get it from? Oh, that's awesome. It seems like we have a lot in common. And I get your number. Not a creepy sexual way or anything like that. But yeah, just make sure that you're doing it naturally and have a value add if you can tomorrow. So if it's gonna be mostly people that are working there, or if it's gonna be people that you're interacting with that are like whatever section you're thinking, see what else you can bring to them. Like that you said that you're gonna drop off something with your business cards.
Yeah, I was just I bought the little magnet things to put on the back of your business card to make it.
Is this for the
representative.
Shakespeare thing or is it something different?
Well, we're going to Pride Fest, but it's
Oh,
with
okay.
the group is all theater people.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm just trying to think of anything else, if you guys have any ideas of like what she could plug in, that way she also like has an option to follow up with them.
Well, my son has just started stand-up comedy, so I could be like, hey, my son
Yes,
started.
I love
so
that.
Yeah,
That's
do you mind
awesome.
if I, do you mind if I share your information with you?
That's awesome.
That is so good.
Yeah, if they already like are doing that, that's 100% awesome. Yeah, get them information, just be like, hey, do you care if I update you when I have this down? So that's
And then that'll
awesome.
probably lead into Matt Rive conversations and.
Oh,
then
yeah.
just keep going.
That is, it's been all over Facebook and I'm like, I
Go
don't
to
know. what to
YouTube,
do.
watch his latest special, it's
Is
fantastic.
it funny?
so good.
It's good.
He is
He did
hilarious.
open mic night a couple weeks ago and met Ben Bailey from the Cash Cab.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
sick.
it's so
That is
funny.
so
Like, we're
cool.
best friends now.
So good.
But yeah, I
I
could
think
use that
once
as a
you're
shoe in
there-
with the
Yeah.
acting people that, you know, just,
Yeah.
where did you get started or whatever.
Naturally, just
Yeah.
do it. And then also, yeah, like my son's getting into comedy right now. I really want to support him. I don't know if it's something they'd like to go to, but I'd love to keep you updated on it.
Yeah.
So that way you can go as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is just like, try to be organic in it. And the first one might be awkward. Just get to the next one, because the next one's gonna be better. Like you're gonna, yes, like just keep moving forward and like just
Yeah.
keep working through it. It's gonna be okay. But no, that's a good point. And then, so what our goal is to, obviously, I don't know how you guys are doing this. Are you guys actually calling down here? Because I don't get reception down here. Do you guys call down here?
We've
Okay.
been typically like, okay, this is your time and.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, this is your time. So you guys can do it however you want to do it. The goal is obviously to reach out to 10 of your sphere. You guys listed a ton of names, right? That you guys are thinking about today that we probably don't think about. So those would be the people I'd recommend you reaching out to. And it can be a genuine, I'm thinking about you and you came to mind when I was thinking about this, or I was thinking about your business and I had a different idea about like how maybe we could help each other out. Do you care if we have a few minutes to chat about it? What could I do? All of those things. Anything that you were writing down, does anyone need an idea of who to call and like how to call?
I have a question for you. So you've obviously had a good return on like lead gen and whatnot. So what has been your biggest levers that you've used?
Looking at every conversation as an opportunity, which you guys actually said as the mindset kind of shift. And that's been the biggest thing is like everyone lives somewhere. And whether it's an agent that you're talking to or a person that's on the other side of the phone, they live somewhere or they know somebody that lives somewhere. So just trying to find that nugget and then how I can provide value for them.
Okay.
And I'm okay letting any deal walk away because I know there's a ton of other deals out there. So I'm not gonna push. I'm not like creepy and I'm not like, oh my God, I have to close you. It's just, I'm a very casual person anyways. And so I'm just like, hey, I want to help. Is there anything I can do to help you? Fantastic. What's new? Tell me about your life. What are you doing nowadays? What are you doing this weekend? Like, and I just go into that and I'm a naturally organic person. And then people are like, oh yeah, that makes me feel comfortable to talk to you. So that's the main thing. Every conversation is an opportunity. You never know if it's a job opportunity, if it's another business opportunity, or any other place like that you could find value for them or they could find value for you.
Most of
So
your leads, are they coming from just cold calls?
I love cold calling. I don't know who said that they don't love cold calling. I love cold calling. But yes, it's my favorite thing because the thing about that is it's people I wouldn't interact with naturally. It's just people that I can change their life that weren't in my sphere of influence already. Like these people, I want to take care of them. They know I'm available. I reach out all the time and like I want to interact with them. The cold calls are people that I don't know that might have bad agents that I would like to change their world. So that's why I enjoy doing it. I made my business out of expireds and for sale by owners and then added all the other stuff in, so. But circle prospecting, I mean, if you need to practice something, I mean, like it's 1 out of 10 that will answer. 10 out of 100 could turn into a nurture. Such a good way to practice your script talking about real estate. So always a good way to do it. If you guys have an open house, I know you guys mentioned that, do things like that. Any other questions? Sorry.
Where did you get your scripts from that you started with?
Oh, I love Bill Crespo for expires and for sell by owner. If you guys ever want to follow him, he's amazing. The main thing is like, so expireds, if you guys jump into that, it's doubt, curiosity, and hope. They're disappointed in the market. They don't think they can sell. That's the main thing about it. The hope about it is that you want to make them believe in the market again. And then it wasn't anything besides the wrong agent, right? They chose the wrong person the first time. Curiosity is why it was the wrong agent. What are you gonna do differently? It's the value prop you guys worked on. It's like why they should pick you. So expired or that, for sell by owners, we're telling them they're doing the wrong thing. So it's like a flip flop of that conversation. You have to understand why they're selling and then figure out the value you can bring to them and then make them curious about why they might not sell on their own.
And who did you say that was?
Bill Crespo, Crespo.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, and I'll give you guys my number because I can send you all this as well. Any other questions? You guys are gonna crush your lead gen today. Don't do the do not call list. I think that's whatever.
You're recording.
You said it, whatever. I love this quote. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in a relationship with me. If that's the kind of business you guys ran, would you hate your job? No. So don't work with people you don't like, but also then realize that you want to find the people that you like. So then that way you guys can find everyone. But yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you for engaging. Is there anything else I can do for you guys? Any questions?
I think finding like resources to find more gens is like kind of hard for me.
Yeah,
Everywhere you go are resources.
I know,
I know, but it's just hard to be like,
It is.
hey, just like a total stranger. Hey, can I have your phone number?
Can you be my friend? I don't have any friends.
Into the story straight. I was just complimenting this person's dog, and then we had a 20-minute conversation about her life and like everything, all her hopes and dreams. So just don't be closed off to it.
You heard me say I'm gonna get all those people's contact information at the gas
I'm
station.
excited for you.
I mean, I don't know if I will, because some of them probably look at me and say, I see you every morning.
Figure out your 20%
It's a goal.
and figure out the main levers in those 20%.
That's right.
Focus
Yeah.
on those.
Okay.
And like for expired and for sell by owners, call me or text me if you guys get into it. But the main thing is on those, like utilize a system that tracks accurate data. So like Land Voice, Vulcan 7 is a dialer that you can utilize. Mojo also pulls them. They all have DNC like ways to like scrub the data so you get the right information. The thing is though, like if you're on the hot sheet every day, go click to the canceled and expireds if that's something you're looking to do. So if you're thinking about doing it, you can always go door knock them, farm the areas that you're looking in, things like that. Trying to think what else. Beyond building your sphere, because like obviously your sphere is warmer than anything else. They all take more touches. So it's 3 to 1 on a sphere of influence that you'll transact with them. For expired and canceled, it's about 100 to 1. So like 100 contacts to 1 closing. Mailers, farming can be anywhere from like 1,000 to 1. So as you get colder, like you're just gonna have to do more to get there. So depending on how you want to spend your time.
Right.
Which some people don't have a huge sphere of influence, or yeah, they got divorced and lost half their friends, like things like that. It's okay to add other levers, but I would perfect your sphere first, because 1, you get your like scripts down, it'll be warmer referrals, and then 2, you can keep adding to it. So does that help at all on the levers? PPC leads, so Facebook leads, marketing, like obviously that's one way. The thing about it is just the demographic of who's on Facebook. I would say that your Chamber of Commerce is gonna be a better resource for you. Find the businesses and like call the businesses too and say, hey, I'm a real estate professional. I'd love to come in and chat with you guys in case you have anyone looking to purchase this year. Make sure that they have the information that they need. And then also if they ever have questions about lending and stuff like that, I can get them to the right people. And just ask if you can go in and talk to them. Usually they give you a lot of the data when you're a part of it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So I use that as like adding to my database. It's like, oh, I'll take all of these lists and I want a huge database, right? Like, so just keep adding to it. But yeah, that was it, guys. Anything else? Questions, other things?
When you guys add contacts like in your phone, do you just resync it to your command? Is that what you do?
Because command won't upload a duplication.
Oh, perfect. That was my
Good to
question.
know.
Yes,
Command
because I
will
was
not
afraid
upload.
of.
And but if you've added new information on that listing, it also will not upload that. It will not upload a duplication. So if you're like, oh, I'm gonna update it in my phone and it'll update it in command, no dice.
You actually have.
You have to go to command and update it.
Got it.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's great.
I just keep notes. Because my team lead is such a addict about tracking, I have become that way. And if I don't track things, I'm such a scatterbrained individual, like I can't listen to one thing and write something down. So like I have to be right after like writing it down,
Well, know your weaknesses. So if you can't write it down right away, like know that then you have to pause after every call, right? Like that's just the thing where you're like, I know my system is I have to pause after it. So just understand yourself, and the more you guys do it, you'll find ways, and you're like, and then just talk to other people, because people have probably run into something similar. And if they have a trick around it, that's awesome.
Hey, Erin, the one thing I'm also gonna try to be more purposeful about is not focusing so much on getting a random person, because they're a random person at first, even if you're getting their information. I'm trying to reserve maybe my cell phone for more intimate people
Ooh, that's a good
and
point.
using my command for
Word, not
all
some,
else.
got it.
Yeah, because I'm not necessarily trying to build my cell phone contacts to 12,000, but I want to build my command to 12,000.
Right.
And so I've been kind of trying to think about it that way. Yes, I'm given my phone, but then I'm immediately trying to figure out how do I get that over into command.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
I utilize Google Voice whenever I'm in a new location, because then you can track the calls and it's in a different system, which is a good point, because it's like, it's hard to sometimes know what's business and personal. If you're calling the Pizza Hut or whatever, and you don't want that as a contact in your, yeah. So if you do get to that point where you're like, I'm doing a certain lead source, you could always grab a Google Voice phone number and use that as the callback number.
Yeah.
And then that way you can use the app and you would be able to track it as well. So if you start a new one, you might look at doing that if you're gonna spend a lot of time in it.
Google Voice free.
It is.
Yeah, you can get a business account. I don't know how much it costs, but yeah. I use
But
the
you can
free
just
one.
get a Google
Yeah.
Voice. You can have more than
I
one.
use Twilio for texts and
Yes,
stuff.
so if you have a Twilio number, that would be the same idea.
But it
for
just like, it costs like it like costs like 3 credits every minute, and so I can't call off of that. So I just shoot texts. and everything. And then like, typically though, if it's a lead who's like worth calling, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give you my real phone number. It's
Mhm.
better that I get contacted here, and then it's like, I put the people who I am going to contact more often. I'll just use it
Yeah.
as some sort of like script or something.
Yeah, and you might check with your team, because it might be a little bit different, but the Google Voice, one, you can route it to other people. So if you ever have somebody that you need to cover and you're like, hey, I'm gonna send you these phone calls, it's kind of nice. So it's different options, but you might ask them if they have a system already. I know Twilio is the plugin for command, but I also knew that it costs money. So that's the tricky part about it. But Google Voice is awesome, so.
Yeah, it was just nice because anytime you text somebody on Twilio, it'll show up on command automatically on their timeline. And so you just, it's like you read an entire script. It's like, oh, perfect. Okay, I know exactly how to call this person.
Yeah, I hope that they get, I know that the stuff with the TCPA is why they had to change some stuff in command on the calling. Hopefully it gets better over time, but the main thing, as long as you take your voice notes and like make sure you have your data in there, so make sure you get that all in there. So, well, thanks you guys. It was so fun meeting you all. I hope you guys get a great rest of your, how many more sessions do you guys have?
This is just the first week, so we have 15 more.
15? Yay! That's so awesome. You guys get to do so much. Well, I hope everyone's as much fun as I am. I'm just kidding. But yeah, if you guys need anything, call me. If you ever get started on a different lead source, I'm doing pre-foreclosures right now in Kansas City. And it's pretty amazing how you can help people in situations like that. So if you guys have ever questions about anything else, let me know. So.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for pouring into us today.
Thank you. Carrie, I think I got it figured out.
You did? Okay.
Yeah,
You want- and
here,
Okay. So what you do is you pull up your contacts, share contact,
yeah, so
and
then.
then you
Carrie, I think you're gonna have to
You
teach a
can QR
meeting
code.
afterwards.
do what?
You're gonna have to teach this.
Okay, but that's not what you want to do. So go
Oh.
back. You want to say, you want to share, and here's why. If I scan your QR code, you want to say, I'm just going to let you text yourself. Because if you share your QR code, then guess what? I don't give you my phone number. I
Mhm.
only get yours.
Right.
So the
Okay.
goal should be that you want mine too.
Hi,
Okay.
Christy,
So-
thanks for staying on.
So what you'll want to do